This morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, a shooter opened fire on a Dallas ICE facility, killing one and leaving two others in critical condition. Now, this is the fourth attack on an ICE facility since August 1st. So this summer has been a massively violent time, and we're going to talk about that tonight, and it's probably going to be the major topic of conversation. Tim is going to be doing a piece with Jesse Waters, and we're going to cover that. But before we do, why don't we go ahead and go around the table and introduce everybody. Marty O'Donnell is our guest today. So tell everyone about yourself,
Marty.
Marty.
We can talk about violence all you want, but at some point we've got to talk about some video games, which are not violence. This is why people aren't violent, because they're playing video games instead. So I'm a composer and audio director, and I did Halo and Destiny and Myth the Fallen Lords and Oni and a whole bunch of games. Before that, I did TV commercials. So
and now you're running for Congress, right?
And now, yes, instead of retiring and playing with my grandsons, which I still am going to do, I'm still going to play with my three grandsons. I decided it's time for me to do my civic duty and pay back, because awesome. I'm going to run for Congress and unseat the Democrat congresswoman in my district in Nevada and swap it out with a Republican, me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Brett is here.
Guys, what's going on? It's Brett. Normally, we're doing Pop Culture Crisis Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You should join us there, but we got a bunch to get into tonight.
I'm also in the house. Hello, Phil. Hello, everyone. Good to meet you, Marty.
Yeah, nice to meet you all.
I'm a video game aficionado. Been since 1983, I think, when I started playing Atari for the first time. So that's cool.
The Atari was your first one?
Yeah, that was the big one. We had a Commodore 64 and an Atari 2600 in the house.
I had both of those myself.
Fantastic.
Yes, absolutely.
Mail order monsters. Shout out.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to jump right into this from Reuters. Gunman wrote anti-ICE on unused bullet in fatal attack on Dallas immigration office. McKinney, Texas, September 24th. A gunman wrote anti-ICE on an unused bullet, killed one detainee and wounded two others on Wednesday when he fired on an Immigration and Customs Enforcement field office in Dallas from a nearby rooftop before taking his own life, officials said. FBI Director Kash Patel posted a photo on X of what he said was the suspect's unused ammunition, showing the shell casing of one round inscribed with the phrase anti-ICE along the side. While the investigation is ongoing, an initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive behind this attack, Patel wrote. U.S. President Donald Trump quickly politicized the incident on his Truth Social platform, accusing the radical left Democrats of stoking anti-ICE violence by constantly demonizing law enforcement, calling for ICE to be demolished, and comparing ICE to officers to Nazis. Now, look, if the Democrats are actually against these attacks, and like I said earlier, there have been 4 ICE facilities attacked just since August 1st. If Democrats are actually against these, it is incumbent on the Democrats to make a simple statement. Allow ICE to do its job. Stop attacking ICE facilities. They don't. They have not, because generally they want to see this activity. They want to see people frustrated with ICE, and they want to see people taking matters into their own hands.
Seriously, give me a break. They're going to accuse Trump of politicizing something because he said this is a kid who's leftist and he's writes anti-ICE, so he's anti-ICE. How is that politicizing? It's just the fact.
Yeah.
Like, it's the kid already said, I'm a leftist and I'm anti-ICE, and his whole family and the whole background is that it's already been politicized. It's not something Donald Trump did.
If I wanted to talk about the politicization of it, you'd talk about Gavin Newsom, who went on with Jimmy Kimmel last night. Literally just last night, talking about anti-mask, ironic, policies that they're implementing in the state of California to prevent ICE officers from wearing masks where they work. And then they're like, but why would they want to cover their face? Oh, I have no idea. And then, of course, this happens the very next day. You could make the argument that what he said the night before played a larger role in what happened today than any so-called politicization that Trump did merely by pointing out what the obvious political affiliation of somebody who writes anti-ICE on ammunition.
And whether it be Gavin Newsom or whether it be Pritzker, who's been calling ICE Gestapo, calling Donald Trump a fascist, saying that the enforcement of immigration law is a terrible, terrible thing, and it's evil, and the the vernacular they use too. You're disappearing.
Who are the congresswomen
people.
that have been calling them the Jack
AOC
and Gestapo and stormtroopers? I mean,
Jayapal from
from
Washington.
Yeah.
Obviously AOC. The whole Omar has been saying it. The whole squad. I mean, this is not some kind of isolated one particular congressperson or one representative that's actually speaking out of pocket. This is the constant refrain from the Democrats for at least the past 10 years.
Yeah.
And this is normal. And I think that this is what you see. You see people saying, look, it is incumbent on us to go and take matters into our own hand because, again, the type of rhetoric that you get, it's not just that Donald Trump is a fascist or a Nazi. It's also there won't be elections again. How many times have you heard
last night too?
Yeah, so
Newsom did.
Newsom is saying there won't be
it's
elections.
the end of democracy.
Yeah.
It's a threat to democracy. It's they've been saying this for so long. But here's the thing: it's the center of the left that's saying this. You have to compare center left and center right, and it's like what the right is saying at the center is just common sense, normal stuff. I wish it was just the far left, but the center of the left is saying this crazy, wacky, horrible stuff. So.
I get the feeling that they're justifying it by thinking, okay, you know what, a little bit of chaos can create good in society, so let's maybe allow that to happen, and that they think that what will happen is that the government will ease off and pull back on ICE. But what you don't realize is when you stoke chaos, no one controls that.
I totally disagree with you. I don't think that it's about trying to produce what anyone would consider good. It's literally just trying to produce chaos in order to stymie the administration from doing what they were voted into office to do.
Well, the people in some of these states, with the big cities especially, if you've ever lived in like a big city, there's a lot of illegal immigrants that end up becoming your friends in those cities. And if they're getting yanked out of their houses, they're probably like, this is the most evil thing I've ever experienced. We have to stop it. Like that's...
Are you talking about citizens or are you talking about politicians? Because he's talking about the way that the politicians are framing it, which is very different from the way your neighbors are going to frame it.
The politicians maybe have more of an agenda, but the message is getting like, it's stoking this feeling of like what's happening is evil. People think it's evil, and they're supposed to break the law to stop the evil.
The left is saying it's evil, but like I don't believe my constituents in Las Vegas. Most of these people who are, they're legal immigrants. They went through the process. They feel like the illegals and the open borders is what's causing all the chaos. And they don't see ICE as anything but something that is going to help fix the situation. So I just feel like the middle of the left, the center left people are what you said, which is like we want to disrupt Donald Trump at all costs, no matter what happens. And what that's going to do is going to cause the fringy, nihilistic, crazy kids to go out there and just start shooting and then committing suicide. This is another guy who committed suicide today, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like this nihilism, this violent nihilism is going to like, I have two choices because nothing has any meaning. I'm going to commit suicide and I'm going to commit murder people. Yeah. Usually in the order of murdering first.
Yeah.
I don't know how much time we have before they have to run Tim's segment, but what do you think it has been a net benefit or a net positive? Because we're talking about how it's being framed from the left, but the video. Do you see the Theo Vaughn thing about being framed in the ICE video? Do you think that those videos from DHS are doing more harm than good?
I think that those are probably throwing red meat to the base.
Yeah.
There probably are people that see them and say, oh, this is so terrible that they're doing this. It's so awful that they're saying these things. And obviously Theo Vaughn is like, look, man, don't paint a target on me. And that's a legitimate concern.
Because he said that yesterday, and then this happens today. He's like, I don't want to get caught up.
Yeah, and I totally respect his perspective. Yeah. But I do think that the people that are looking at those things and that are apoplectic about them, if it wasn't a video that ICE put out, it would be something else that they would be apoplectic about. They would be the reaction that they have is going to be the same, whether it be something that the right thinks is funny or whether it be something totally mundane and anodyne, right?
I saw that. Did you guys see the ICE video of Pokemon? They started. We're about to go up. they use the song, the theme song from Pokemon. My friend Jason Page is the singer. So I turn it on, I hear my friend's voice singing, "Gotta catch them," and they're grabbing illegal immigrants, and it's like...
That's what I was talking about. That's what I was asking Phil about. I said, do you think that video is a benefit for the base or not?
I want to ask Marty, I know we're about to go to a clip, but like, how would you feel if one of your musics or your own vocals were just taken and used by a government?
You know, trust me, my Halo Monk chant has been used in a lot of places I never approved. So yeah, I would not be happy about it.
I'm guilty of that. My band used it for an intro. I told Marty
I didn't say I was upset about all of them.
But I just want to make sure I'm coming clean. All that remains, we used that for a long time.
Write me a check after the show.
Absolutely. There won't be a lot of zeros. But I'll write you a check. So yeah, I guess Tim is going to be on what is it?
Jesse Waters
in just a minute or so.
Shout out to Jesse Waters.
So if you want to bring it up and actually bring up the volume, we can jump in here. So that way we get a little bit of the pre-hit context.
I'm watching it.
Here we go.
The topic is obviously going to be the violence that the left is engaging in lately.
Yeah, still getting harassed. Seen Gavin Newsom. I got a Gavin Newsom story to tell you guys, so remind me after this.
I thought that was so irresponsible of him last night.
That conservative needed a police escort to leave campus. Kimmel lost his job for 4 days, and they said free speech was under attack. Charlie Kirk was killed for exercising free speech, and they said he had it coming. They say we need more civil debate, and we need to be more civil. So when we try to engage in civilized debate, they chase us off campus. Now the freedom of the press is under attack. But when it's conservative press, the media is silent. Here's a reporter getting swarmed outside the UN. Watch.
Like that. Charlie Kirk!
Yeah,
Why would I say that?
About.
Why would I say
I
that?
hope they blur this.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. Well, look at you. Look at you. Look at you.
He's not black woman.
Hey, stop it. Stop it. Get off. Get off.
That looks civil. Hillary says the rhetoric has to stop, and we agree, but she says not from her, from you.
We have got to stop demonizing each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, I think most of that right now in our country's history is coming, from the right. We have got to stop with the finger pointing and the scapegoating.
Hillary called half the country deplorables and irredeemable, despicable Neanderthals. He needed to be deprogrammed and have their First and Second Amendment stripped. What has the right said about Hillary that Bill hasn't already said? And it's not like men in MAGA hats are shooting up Planned Parenthoods and Hollywood celebrities or journalists or politicians. No one on the right is acting on the language we're using. On the left, they are. And it's starting to feel like that's the Democrats' strategy. Intimidate us into shutting our mouths. They're using bullets to bully us into political submission. It kind of feels like they know what they're doing.
It's terrible.
Political violence has gotten out of control in this country. We got to stop it. We got to condemn it. And that starts, unfortunately, at the very top of the Democratic Party. If you want to stop political violence, stop attacking our law enforcement as the Gestapo.
There you go.
If you want to stop political violence, stop telling your supporters that everybody who disagrees with you is a Nazi. If you want to stop political violence, look in the mirror.
Absolutely.
And if they're not going to look in the mirror and stop triggering their crazies to shoot us, stab us, and blow up our cars, then we're going to have to crack down. We can't sit back and not defend ourselves. It's open season on us. And if we're not going to save ourselves, who else are we going to save? Host of Timcast, Tim Pool, joins me now. Woo. How hot is it right out there now these days?
I've never received more death threats. I've also got very serious security where we do our show. The threat level was so great. My team instructed me not to travel. I was unable to go to the memorial for Charlie Kirk. But, Jesse, earlier just now you were mentioning the attacks that we've seen throughout the past weeks and months, but I want to make sure this is clear as it pertains to Jimmy Kimmel. The initial reporting was that advertisers and affiliates were upset. Sinclair said they wanted to bring the temperature down. None of that has changed. Sinclair and Nexstar are still saying they will preempt his show. As far as we know, advertisers are still upset. So what made the difference that brought his show back? Well, this is a little bit of speculation, but there was a terror attack on an ABC affiliate in Sacramento by what is reported to be a Democrat who opened fire on the building. And it's been reported by the New York Post that Sinclair pulled their Charlie Kirk memorial because of terroristic threats against ABC affiliates. So I agree with you. It's open season on people who are standing up, speaking out, or supporting Trump. But the left is also attacking regular people to force their will. And I think it's because they recognized Donald Trump won the popular vote. Normal people have spoken, and they're not tolerating their strange policies that are destroying this country anymore.
I'm afraid an ICE agent's going to get shot. I'm afraid they're going to shoot him in cold blood. They're going to put a gun right to his head, and that's what's next. They're not going to just sit on rooftops and fire rifles. I feel like we're going to see blood in the streets if this continues to go the way it's going.
Yeah, for sure.
I think we have, especially with Charlie Kirk. It was horrifying. And, you know, I want to make a point because, Jesse, I was watching The Five earlier, and we hear this a lot from liberals, that these studies show the right is more responsible. But see, this is a trick. I don't think you and I have any problem condemning some fringe white supremacist that has nothing to do with what we believe or what we support. No one in the mainstream Republican Party is going to defend those guys. But the person who shot Charlie Kirk, his ideology was so in line with the Democratic Party that AOC went on the floor of the House and denounced Charlie Kirk in much the same language. This is what we are seeing from run-of-the-mill moderate Democrats. That's actually what has me more concerned.
Yeah, and the leadership, it says nothing. Hakeem's out to lunch, Pelosi's out to lunch, Schumer doesn't even know what's going on. And that's the real problem, because the crazies have now taken over. All right, Tim, stay safe. Good to talk to you.
You know, to Jesse's
Let's bring in
point,
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis.
I don't
Governor,
think
you see
that I
Gavin
agree
Newsom.
that the leaders are out to lunch. I think the leadership has changed. The people that are actually setting the tone for the left or for the Democrats now, they are people like Ilhan Omar. They are people like
and the old leaders are afraid of those people. Yeah. Absolutely, they're deathly afraid of the followers of those people, and so they've been usurped. I agree with you totally.
All right.
Tim Pool in the house.
What? We just saw him on TV.
Yeah, it's magic. That was a time warp.
What are you guys talking about? Shout out to Jesse Waters.
Talking about video game, though. We were just talking about you, actually, and kind of following up with the conversation.
Ooh, it's getting warm in here. I'm going to turn this on.
Yeah, that's fine. My neck was cold.
Have you unmuted
where were we at this point? Right. Oh, talking about the leadership in the Democratic Party, and that actually maybe the real leadership is the youth of the Democratic Party.
Yeah, AOC and Ilhan Omar. Ilk.
With AOC reported to want to run for president in 2028. Because the point I was just making to Jesse Waters, that I've made on the show before, I don't care to denounce, you see I'm running, some fringe white supremacist guy. Like, we all will denounce that. Nobody wants to support that. But AOC goes on the House floor and condemns Charlie Kirk and spreads those lies, the same lies that motivated the shooter, as far as we know.
Yeah, she absolutely did. Yeah,
or even, like you said,
the common sense center of the right is not labeling even the left, the far left, or even the middle left with the same kind of vitriol that we're hearing coming back at us. We're not. We're like, hey, do you have different ideas? Do you have different goals? Let's talk. Are you socialist? Let's talk about your socialism and why we think it doesn't work. We're not calling you an existential threat, and we're not calling you, killers or something, unless you start continuing to call us Gestapo and Nazis, which is encouraging the fringe nihilists to start shooting at us.
You know, one thing during Biden's reign, no one on this show referred to him as Hitler. What they were doing with Twitter, especially the fascist regime affecting and controlling the corporate media, we still didn't fall back on ad hominem attacks and likening him to a terrorist threat. It was just like, look, we're going to create better leadership and we're going to change this.
The closest I can think of that is when he gave that speech with the all red background.
Yeah. Even then it was authoritarian.
Yes, it was
there were comments of authoritarianism, of militancy, but the right stopped short of actually calling him a fascist or at least of Nazi or something like that. Maybe there were people that said fascist, but that was a little hyperbolic.
It was weird imagery that didn't make sense. But like, we don't even know what to call somebody when we're being called fascist. What's the opposite?
I think there is a segment of the right, especially after what happened to Charlie Kirk, where they're using the term demonic and they're referring to that. You know, there is that labeling of their views as demonic, and that was all in the wake of what happened to Charlie Kirk, and that would be the closest I can think of on the right is their label for those on the other side.
Probably.
Well, let me just say the difference is my father and my father-in-law fought in World War II, fought against Nazis, fought against, I knew somebody who was one of the first guys into Auschwitz. So that's real evil. And yeah, we have to have organized ways of fighting real evil. But when it comes to spiritual evil, we're talking about a spiritual battle. So we're not using guns to fight a spiritual battle. But coming back at us now is actual kinetic weaponry.
It's our culture. It's what we believe. It's how we see the world.
Yeah.
There was one interesting thing. When you go on these shows, shout out to Jesse and Fox, you only get a couple minutes, right? It's like one or two questions. I think the last time I went on, I just talked for like 4 minutes and then he jumps in. But he made this point earlier in his opening that on the left, they're saying, we're at war. And, we have to fight and do whatever we have to do to win that war. The right's saying that too. I think it's absolutely fine. There's going to be a lot of liberals and they're going to say, oh, yeah, well, Alex Jones was saying that shit, just that. And I'll say, indeed he was. But I want to make this clear. We didn't start a war. I didn't.
No.
When they censored me and silenced me, when they accused me of lies and tried to smear me to my own friends and family, and then when they showed up to events that I was putting on and threatened to burn down theaters, I never went anywhere near these people. We tried having an event in, I think it's Pittman, New Jersey, and far leftists, Antifa aligned, threatened to burn the theater down. And so we had planned it for 9 months. 2 weeks out, they cancel on us. And he tells us to screw ourselves. We'll see him. He's like, I don't care. Nothing you say will change the fact they're going to burn my theater down. He's like, you can sue me for everything, but I'd lose my theater either way. I did not go to an Antifa club and threaten them.
Yeah.
They attacked me.
Yeah.
And so it's fascinating to see that we vote, we win. They attack. We vote, we lose. They attack. We vote, we win, they attack again, all the while saying they are at war with us. And now you are getting people on the right saying it's time to wake up. They are trying to destroy us. And that was a huge wake-up call with Charlie Kirk. But I do think Jimmy Kimmel should be a very serious wake-up call for everybody in that according to the reporting, there's a Democrat-aligned individual, a liberal, who shot up an ABC station. And several other affiliates received terroristic threats over the suspension of Jimmy Kimmel, and they gave him his show back.
Yeah.
ABC said, we're more scared of the terror from the left than the concerns from the right.
They also lost 2% of their value. Disney lost 2% stock value.
That's
$4
fake
billion.
news.
Is it really? $3.8 billion?
Amazon lost more.
The stock market dipped, basically.
So again, we are dealing with an unrepentant force. Okay, they are going on acts and saying, haha, we did it, boys. Disney just lost $3 billion. They did not lose $3 billion. There's an estimated loss of around $2 to $3 billion market share from the dip of 2%. But if you track the stock market like any sane person, you'll see Amazon dipped more. There's no indication that Jimmy Kimmel, a single show on Disney, caused the entirety of the Disney Corporation, which owns Marvel and Star Wars, to decline. It's the lie they use to justify when the show comes back on the air after a literal terror attack. They then go, it's because we cost them money.
I've been thinking about, because you're saying kinetic warfare of guns and spiritual warfare, and like how do you do this? So I'm thinking you need to forgive your enemies. I know this sounds very weird, but in the metaphor of if you're being attacked over and over and you're like, stop, please stop, and they don't, and you're like, listen, my military is so much, you have no idea the hell that will be rained upon you if you keep doing this. Please stop. And they don't. I forgive you for not knowing what you're doing, but I will still issue whatever it takes to stop that threat.
Divine retribution.
Yeah. And I don't hold any hatred for those people because they didn't know any better.
But he's correct.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. To your point, that's exactly what we're calling for. We want the power, we want the government to use its authority to stop this behavior.
Right. So by the way, the government is the place that has the authority to do it, and that is something we're depending upon. That's not the spiritual warfare. The government is not spiritual. It doesn't have to do a spiritual thing. That's where the Bible has set up the government as the authority that can do this.
To Ian's point, there's a lot of people in the chat saying he's wrong, but he is completely correct. And I believe that there was someone on X who made a great quote that Jesus forgave the thief on the cross, but he did not save his life. The point is, Ian is making a great point. We are not the ones who hold hatred in our hearts and look at them and just say, you know what, I don't care anymore, I just hate you. We are the ones who say, forgive them for they know not what they do, and now round them up, arrest them, these are criminals. Forgive does not mean to just let them run roughshod over the country and destroy everything we love. Right. It means that we won't let ourselves be blinded by hatred. We will think logically and clearly, and we will build a better union and society. I agree with Ian on this one.
Yeah.
It absolutely means use all available legal and lawful authority to stop these violent terrorists and their threats. Just don't hold hate. That's going to blind you. It's going to confuse you. It's going to disrupt your logic. It's bad for strategy. And that's the funny thing, too, about the forgive them they know, for they don't know what they do is there's more than just the noble of I am going to be a better person and I'm going to remove that hatred from myself, but I'm not going to spare you. There's also the functional, the scientific, that when you are enraged, you don't think clearly. Yeah. So we need to approach this problem logically. That's why after Charlie Kirk was killed, and I, tear-stricken from seeing this, still said cooler heads must prevail.
Right.
We need to stop, pause, make sure there's no immediate reaction, keep calm, and then assess what the problem is and how to solve it. And I think that is now, especially with this morning, the terror attack this morning, I don't believe that we are looking at a simple solution. The Trump administration declaring Antifa a terrorist organization is good. He's apparently going to have another executive order targeting leftist organizations that are funding these things. I believe they should do all of that. However, I also believe that will escalate the left. That will push them. They will get angrier. But that is no excuse because the alternative is to let them burn everything down.
Yeah.
After we decide, we will use the legal means to stop terrorism. I mean, a man opened fire indiscriminately on a vehicle, and that's how 2 detainees ended up dying. And the liberals are using that as though he must be right-wing. No, he was insane. He hated the right. He heard all of the rhetoric from the left. We need to stop these people with every legal tool we have, and we will be calm and collected about it and stern. And as they kick and scream like demons and banshees, we will not be moved. We will say the job must be done. Off to jail you go.
And regarding this, using every legal means, I kind of brought this up before the show. I think about using evil to create order. And sometimes you have your alignment, maybe you're 70 out of 100 good. If you do some evil, it's going to drop your alignment by 10 points. But it may raise your order by 20 points. And we have to discuss openly about what evil we're willing to see and allow to happen.
None.
Because, many people will say, I'm only good, I'm only orderly, nothing. And then they turn a blind eye to the real evil because war itself is killing humans to create order. There is an evil act to create order, and there's a net benefit, ideally.
Killing humans is not always evil.
Yeah,
well,
I think your definition of evil is problematic. So even the Bible says thou shalt not kill, and kill implies the term murder. If you have to kill to prevent a death of an innocent or self-defense, the Bible says that's fine, and it's not an evil. Now, in the big picture, let me just complete this. In the big picture, evil is in the world because man defied God. And so we have to turn back to God, but we're in the kingdom of Cain. This is where brother kills brother. This is the result of the fall. So if in that big picture, any sort of death is the result of evil, but it's not an evil act to defend the innocent.
The way I see it is like murder will drop your alignment to 0. That is, do not ever, if we become permanent evil or permanent chaos, we lose. Do not murder. But killing in combat, it aligns with society. It's called alignment because we know that's their job. So it is evil, but it's not that evil.
But it's
well,
not
I think
evil.
killing is generally
it's not.
They say we're
murder is evil. I mean, listen. There's a different word in the Bible for murder and kill.
Yeah.
Murder is evil. Killing is not evil.
I'm gonna speak.
There's a distinction.
Guys, I gotta speak video game to Ian. I gotta speak video game to you.
Please.
When the guys are red. When their names are in red, your alignment.
Oh, yeah, you don't, because the rest of the human condition knows that what you're doing is righteous. It's like if you're killing wolves.
Let me explain, right? You guys are speaking in biblical terms. Ian's speaking Dungeons and Dragons, and I understand the point he's trying to make, but it doesn't apply to real life. And the analogy that I'll use is, we'll use Skyrim, for example. If the person's name is green and you attack them, your alignment goes down. If the person's name is red, you nothing. There's no change. And to bring it to reality for the sake of what your argument is, if someone is evil, they are acting to destroy, to harm others. There's a variety of reasons that they do this. Stopping them is good.
Well, look at
it's lamentable. We don't want people to die, but it's not evil to stop an evil person. It is just something we genuinely try to avoid doing. Let me just say this about the modern culture war and where we are. What we would describe as the right the whole time has been making the argument we can never be evil. And what do you see? Viral videos that are going viral right now, especially in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder, of people on the right at various rallies being mercilessly beaten and not fighting back. There's Andy Ngo is a really great example. When he was in Portland and he's drenched in milkshake and bleeding from the ears, disoriented, he is not fighting anyone. He is simply trying to walk away. And that is a problem because evil triumphs when good men do nothing. And now the attitude has changed. And it's changed for one big reason. This right that we call it, which I don't even know if it makes sense. Yeah. Call it America, whatever. Said, we still will not go and attack leftists, go to their place of worship or business, whatever it may be, their DEI offices. They said, we're going to vote. We vote for you, Donald Trump. Please use the legal, lawful authority for which all of the people of our country have agreed upon to exercise that authority against those who would transgress upon us. And he is now, and now we are saying, bring it on.
But the thing about evil is it's how it aligns with the rest of people seeing the action. If people feel and think that it's evil, and 99% of the world thinks it's evil, then it is. According to alignment. That's why they call it alignment. It's how aligned are you with the rest of us.
You're talking about the perspective of people. Like, you're not addressing whether it is or it isn't. You're talking about how it's perceived by other people. They have been manipulating your ability to act based on how they will portray it to the rest of the world. Like he said with Andy Ngo, if Andy Ngo doesn't attack back, they can't label him as somebody attacking other people. So for a long time, the right has had to tie their hands behind their back and not let themselves act, because of the fact that the media would paint them in a certain way. Now we live in the age of the internet and social media, and the information makes it to people much quicker without the bend from the media telling you what this act was from another person.
This is a great point, because what would happen is if Andy Ngo did swing back, they would edit the video to remove the attack on him and say Andy Ngo attacks people. The difference is now Trump won the popular vote, and regular people have the confidence to say, enough. We are not the minority anymore. And so what's happening now is, in the wake of Charlie Kirk's killing, in the wake of the terror attack on ABC, and now this morning's terror attack, I mean, the dam is breaking. The right is saying, Trump, get the feds, get law enforcement. If this doesn't stop here, it will only get worse.
They were doing it the other day with the lady who got in the face of the ICE officer, right? And they were like, look at what this guy did to this poor woman. Except for the fact was, when you look at the whole video, she got in his face, they removed her, she came back, got into his face again, and went back again. They understand that they will be able to clip that video, portray that guy who works for ICE a specific way, and it doesn't matter if what their followers believe is true, if it is not actually true. If you're acting in good faith, if you are doing the right thing, it doesn't matter if what they are showing you is bent and wrong and manipulated. What matters is that you acted in good faith, you did the right thing, and the whole video is there for people to find, but they have to be willing to go out and find that video. They have to be willing to seek the truth of the matter. If you're talking about people who aren't looking to seek the truth of the matter, especially in politics, it's a lost cause, because most people aren't. Most people are going out there, they're looking for videos and narratives that reinforce their view of the world. You cannot act as if everything you're doing is to try and change their mind. You can't change their mind.
Tim,
you simply have to act properly.
There's something you said. This is the function of government. The prime reason that we have government is so that we, normal people, don't have to try to create order for ourselves. We give that right to the government, and it needs to create order, and it needs to create safety. And it has to be real order and real safety, and then laws can follow from that. But we have nothing. Laws mean nothing without actual order and safety.
This is order for ourselves.
That's what I mean. I mean, we're using the government. We're not doing it. We're not taking our own guns and going out and starting this.
Here's the principal philosophical challenge that we face as a nation, is that we are good people. And that's a fact. Yep. You look around the world. What we as a nation have said, going back to our founding fathers, and even before then, is to be fair to everyone, we will write down what we expect of you and give you a chance to review this. And even in the instance you infringe upon the rules we have agreed to create, we will still give you a chance. We have given every opportunity to the antagonists of our way of life. And so the issue now is laws don't matter. We talked about this last night on the members-only portion of the show, so join our Discord server at timcast.com, where someone said they were libertarian and they think we should get rid of the Civil Rights Act. And I said, it literally doesn't matter if we do or do not have the Civil Rights Act. The Civil Rights Act was created because our country was bifurcated. And so they said, we're voting. They voted. Okay, here are the rules. Many in southern states still didn't want to comply with it. National Guard got called in and said, you will comply. And they used force. In a society where everyone agrees, you need not any laws. You don't need any. Imagine if every single person was identical in their worldview and belief, there'd be no theft. There'd be no murder. And there would be no need for police because nobody would aggrieve upon somebody else. Maybe courts, because sometimes people disagree and they have arguments. And so you need civil matters. But we don't live in that society. And so the problem right now is, as we talk about the laws we want enforced, the people of the United States need to recognize we are not in this, as the Democrats called it, war with Americans. We are a constitutional republic of the United States in a conflict with a multicultural democracy of the United States. And that's a quote, I'm paraphrasing Stephen Marsh, who is a more liberal person from Canada. He said, there are two nations occupying the borders of the U.S., constitutional republic and multicultural democracy. And he said he was for the multicultural democracy. And I said, fair point. I'm for the constitutional republic, in which case you can now recognize the distinction in this conflict. The multicultural democracy doesn't care what our laws are. We are a separate entity. That's why they simultaneously argued that Charlie Kirk should have been jailed for his speech and Jimmy Kimmel is a martyr for free speech. What they're really saying is, you are not us. So I just went on Jesse Waters' show and he played all of these clips about ICE agents, masked thugs kidnapping people. Gavin Newsom going on, was on Colbert the other day saying masked men jumping out, disappearing people, members of our community. And I said, illegal immigrants aren't members of our community, but you see the distinction. When we vote in this country, our Congress, our courts, our laws, our representatives, they all agree to the terms that we have drafted, and that is illegal immigration is a crime for which you can be deported. The multicultural democracy of this country, Zoran Mamdani, a good example running for office, says we must protect our people from ICE.
Right.
What does that mean? I beg of people to understand this philosophical and functional distinction. When I say something like, I'm a guitar player, you're a piano player. When I say guitar players come together and destroy the piano players, why would you ever think I was including you as a guitar player? There's a clear distinction as to who we each are, and we are different. So when Zoran Mamdani says our people must be protected, he is telling you, the American voter, you are outside of his community. Your votes are meaningless to him. Your whims, your wills, your laws, meaningless to him. When you elect Donald Trump and he wins the popular vote and you say, please, Mr. President, illegal immigration is a very large concern for the American people. Zoran Mamdani looks your way and says to you, you are not one of us and we will do everything we can to stop you. And this is the distinction.
Yeah. To your point, that's the distinction they're making when they say our democracy. Right. They're not talking about the United States. They're talking about the Democrats and people that align with them, because they've already made the distinction by saying they are fascists. They are trying to destroy our democracy. Right. The people that they point at and claim are fascists, those people are not part of their democracy.
I want to say one quick thing before we jump to the next story. I just want to help people as best as I can, give you the context clues. They burn the American flag.
Right.
They fly a unique flag called the Progress Pride flag. They say our democracy. They say you are a threat to our democracy. They say we are at war with you. I did not ask for this. I begged for it to stop every step of the way. They lie. They say that I'm far right. They say Ian is far right. He's Moon Lord. It's because we exist outside of their community. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't blame them, but they are a chaotic force that has grown within the United States that seeks to upend and defy the United States. They mock our history. They destroy our statues. They rename our military bases and our streets. They have tried to kill the president. They have killed our most prominent political leader, young leader, in Charlie Kirk. They shot up a news station because they took their high priest off the air. I don't understand what else people need to hear to understand we are not talking about roommates in a single house. You are not having a disagreement with your brother anymore. And I hate to say this because people are going to say it's accelerationist, whatever, but there is a reality here. There is someone outside of your home banging on the door. They are saying, I can do what I want to you. And the question is, are you going to open the door and let them, or are you going to ask the police through lawful means, please make this person stop? That's where we are at right now. This multicultural democracy seeks to upend and destroy. We have called the police, Donald Trump, and said, please start arresting these people. And guess what? Surprise, surprise. The criminals often shoot back.
Yeah. I just want to, for you young guys, who here remembers when Clinton was inaugurated?
I do.
Okay.
Vaguely.
I'm 50, so.
I remember watching this in horror, not because he was inaugurated. It was like, okay, here's our new president. There was an actor who, I forget his name, but he was watching the celebration and the jets flew over, the Blue Angels flew over, and this guy was interviewed and he goes, I looked up in the sky and I saw those military planes and I thought, those are our planes now.
Yep.
And there it is. It's like, no, dude, these were always our planes, our military, our police. This is what we're together. When her husband was nominated or elected, I forget which one it was.
What?
And it's like, this use of our country is excluding half of
and it's the basis of communism is we are all in this together until you get it, and then one guy's on the top. That's same age-old crap.
Let me ask you guys, also remembering the Iraq War, for instance, or even the more modern conflicts we've seen against ISIS. How often do we in this country publicly, high profile among all of our political pundits and politicians, lament the extrajudicial killings of people in a foreign land? Abdurrahman al-Awlaki, who I love to bring up, was murdered by Barack Obama. With drones. His administration claimed they were targeting someone else. It was an accident that they blew up a civilian restaurant in a country we are not at war with, killing a 16-year-old American citizen. No one at the highest level of government, politics, media at the time cared at all that a child was murdered by our president. Why is that?
Because it was legal.
Because it was our president.
Well, it was legal.
Because it was us who did it.
Yep, and it was legal.
And that's not the issue.
They don't care that it was legal. They care that Obama did it.
Patriot Act.
No, guys.
Legal, man.
The reason why in this example and why in so many others, those are factors for sure. The reason is the United States was not aggrieved by this. We, the United States, can bomb and blow up whoever we want, and the bulk of our country will not flinch about it.
Those Venezuelan boats, 3 of them.
Now, the Democrats are complaining about that because Trump is doing it, and that explains the difference that we're facing. It is not us anymore. And that's exactly the point. So I appreciate you bring that up. When Barack Obama blows up somebody, this country largely just went, I mean, the debate was over the legality of the killing of Soleimani in terms of will it start a war, not was someone murdered without due process. No one in this country, and I don't mean literally no one, obviously the libertarians, the anti-war groups, they care about this. At the highest levels of politics, personality, TV, and government, they don't say, what about a criminal trial for that ISIS terrorist we just bombed? Because they are not us.
Right.
Understand that perspective. Now imagine you are an external force trying to destroy America. Apply that to how Democrats have been behaving with the assassination of Charlie Kirk, cheering it on, and you will understand that same feeling. It's either indifference or celebration. And you take a look at how the United States dealt with war over the past 20 years. And for most people, the bombings in Afghanistan, Iraq, or otherwise were indifference or celebration. The killing of Saddam Hussein among Americans, largely indifference. Then, after that, celebration. Take a look at what Democrats did with Charlie Kirk. At first, celebration. Largely indifference after that, saying, well, look, I know it's wrong, but, he deserved it for this reason. Only when pressed and facing a real threat are they trying to put on a PR face. But with that being said, I do want to pull up this story from Mediaite. Charlie Kirk's producer torches unrepentant liar Jimmy Kimmel over his comeback monologue. My friends, this is actually astounding. Jimmy Kimmel did not apologize. In fact, I would describe it as tripling or quadrupling down. And the reason why is it's a 28-minute monologue where he doesn't apologize. He attacks Trump. He insults me. He insults you. He claims that the only issue, or I should say that he accentuates a particular issue as if to imply, once again, that the reason he was taken down was because Trump can't take a joke.
The President of the United States made it very clear he wants to see me and the hundreds of people who work here fired from our jobs. Our leader celebrates Americans losing their livelihoods because he can't take a joke. He was somehow able to squeeze Colbert out of CBS.
Fake.
Then he turned his sights on me. Fake. And now he's openly rooting for NBC to fire Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers and the hundreds of Americans who work for their shows who don't make millions of dollars. And I hope that if that happens, or if there's even any hint of that happening, you will be 10 times as loud as you were this week. Yeah. We have to speak out against this.
He did not apologize. He could have, and it would have been very easy. But he won't. And the point that I brought this up when I was on Jesse just a moment ago. The only thing that we can discern as to why Disney brought him back, the affiliates, even just before we went live, Nexstar said, no, we ain't bringing him back. I couldn't even watch it last night. I was in bed. I pulled up, first I tried YouTube TV. Nope, because Sinclair owns the streaming rights. Just all broadcast and streaming rights are combined. And so I tried all the streaming services. I even tried going to ABC's website, and it's got a lock symbol on it. It wouldn't let me do it. I had to wait until someone else watched it and re-uploaded it because it's shut down. Advertisers are still upset. Sinclair says the temperature's not brought down, and now the tensions are inflamed. So why did ABC bring him back? Well, I said it the other day. I'll say it again. A guy shot up one of their stations. And so, like terrified individuals in the crossfire, they said, Jimmy, we'll do anything you say. How did Jimmy respond? It's Trump who was coming after me. Trump did this without an apology. He didn't, you know what he could have said? And this is what's really terrifying. He could have simply said, to those who felt I was implying the shooter was a Trump supporter, I did not mean to do that, and for that I apologize.
He kind of did. But he didn't say the word, I'm sorry, but people, false prophets, they'll use words that without the emotion, without the meaning behind it. If you can say I'm sorry and not mean it, he cried on camera for like a minute.
He does that all the time.
I mean, it was we could play it and let people decide for themselves.
Ian, with all due respect, I hear what you're saying. Marty, are you married?
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten into an argument with your wife?
No, never. Remember? Never. No.
When you're in an argument with her and she's mad at you for something you did and you know you did something wrong, what do you think would happen if you looked at her and said, I understand?
It depends on...
Everybody listening right now is looking at their wives going like, right.
Yeah.
When you do wrong, and it's not about just your wife, but your husband, or you're in an argument with someone and you know you did wrong and they're upset at you for it. And instead of saying, look, I'm sorry, you just go, I understand why you're mad.
Worse than that's similar to saying, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Which has got to be the worst thing you could ever do in an argument.
Right,
you know, that's essentially what I think Jimmy Kimmel did last night. Is he's like, I'm sorry that people feel this way.
But he lied again.
No, he lied.
Yeah.
He
because
100%
because
lied.
the issue was not Trump being mad. It was that the affiliates and the advertisers felt the heat from everyone in this country who said, a man just died. Can you please not? And Jimmy said, I'm going to use this to go after Trump and get millions of views.
You know, I think a real apology, you said words can be facetious, but is just to be a better person, is to not make the mistake again. That's a real apology.
They're not capable of that with what they do. They're not. He's not capable. There's too much money to be made in the monologues that cover this. The ratings that have plummeted on these shows, which of course are now up again because of all of this controversy, they have made their entire market share for these late night shows about Trump. We were talking last week, like, what would it be if these guys just came out and did monologues? Look, there's news every day that you can make stuff about. There's actual content creators who are covering this stuff. Did you see the horrible joke that Robert De Niro made about the Tylenol and the autism? That was not, it was just really bad in this monologue. Well, he does a thing where Robert De Niro plays the FCC chair, right? And the problem is when you're politically brained and you have a side that you've picked and you don't have any understanding of how people perceive current events, you can't be funny, especially when you're running it through 100 writers and has to go through legal and all these things. It's the other reason he lied, and that you know that it was a lie because it was weasel words, because that what he said last week when he says that they were trying to paint the shooter as anything other than MAGA, that passed through 100 writers in a legal department before it came out, and it was phrased in a way to give them some sort of plausible deniability.
He didn't retract that statement, which is the only statement that we were complaining about. Plus, but here's my other thing is if Trump is such an authoritarian, and he doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on being an authoritarian dictator, Jimmy would not be back.
Yeah.
Like this, where's the power? Where's the authoritarian power? Where's the rioting on the right when something bad happens? Where are the people boarding up their windows of their stores? It's because we don't do that. And Trump is not an authoritarian. If it was Xi Jinping in China, there'd be a whole different thing happening with Jimmy Kimmel right now. He would actually understand what he's accusing Trump of being.
My take on this, what happened with Brendan Carr, who's the FCC chair, went on Benny Johnson's show and mentioned Jimmy by name and then said, we can either do this the easy way or the hard way. And then the next day, the affiliates pulled. That felt like a fascist evil act that produced order. I mean,
this is what the left preys upon, because the actual reporting said advertisers and affiliates. So the question is, for what pressure did advertisers feel? The FCC is not going to go to the advertisers. It was actually backlash from regular people. It's unfortunate because the FCC became the excuse for the left to turn it into Orange Man bad once again.
I don't know. The FCC head mentioned Jimmy by name, said easy way or hard way, and then the next day he's off the air.
Do you know how many? Do you know what percentage of stations are owned by Nexstar and Sinclair?
No.
23%. Yep. So how come the rest of the affiliates didn't budge? Also, Nexstar and Sinclair haven't backtracked. Why did they bring Jimmy back?
It sounds like Nexstar is a minority and that they were the ones that budged.
Let me just ask you again.
You realize these are public airways. It's like a public park.
That's a whole other discussion.
But Ian, if the FCC was the reason why Jimmy was pulled by ABC, why did they bring him back with the advertisers on their position being unchanged?
Well, there's a huge backlash from the populace.
So
which populace?
Yeah,
people screaming about Jimmy Kimmel free speech.
So the popular vote winner, Donald Trump, who has more than half of the support of this country, or let's just call it 50-50. So why would Disney put themselves in a position where they are not only on the opposite side of half the country, but also advertisers? Leave the affiliates aside. My point is this. Everyone wants to make it about the FCC. Conservatives are so easy to trick, it's laughable. Okay, the FCC, I do think it's fair to say, played some form of a role here because that pressure is visible. But the reporting doesn't show that, and we'd be speculating to make that assumption. I do think it's fair to make the assumption. However, it's logic, right? But at the end, they brought Jimmy back. Okay, well, the affiliates haven't changed their positions. So why bring him back? The argument is, well, because there was a backlash. The backlash got him taken off the air in the first place. So again, what is the unique identifier? I'm going to go ahead and say the only discernible thing is the terror threats against ABC stations.
Oh, I'm sure it was
and a guy who opened fire on an ABC station.
Yeah, probably part of
specifically citing Bob Iger and Dana Walden, who said, according to the Wall Street Journal, they feared for the safety of their staff. So if the affiliates haven't changed their position, how is this an FCC-related issue? ABC was looking at 23% of their stations, not even the major markets, New York, LA, and Chicago, unaffected. So ABC said a minority of our markets are upset. Let's cancel Jimmy Kimmel altogether. I don't think the issue...
Well, they didn't. They just indefinitely suspended his tenure, which means it could... Indefinite means there's no defined date. It could be one day or it could be a year.
What is the motivating factor? And I think it was, they said, you are going to make things worse. Right now, we are looking at a certain amount of affiliates and advertisers who are angry. You're going to make it worse. He just did. He just made it worse. I don't think this has anything to do with the FCC. Or I take that back. A little bit. But with all of the outcry and even Brendan Carr walking his statements back, what did he say? Something like, I shouldn't have made it seem that way or something like that?
Yeah, and the other thing that Brendan Carr brought up is that one of the things that they've been working on is the idea that for a long time now, affiliate stations have felt like they're being like stepped on by these national stations that have all this control over what gets aired, and preempting shows, which used to be something that they could do all the time, was something that has become less and less common. So what you're seeing right now is actually rare in current year, because for a long time, as the national stations like Disney have gotten bigger and bigger, they exert more control over these stations. So what Brendan Carr said, he said, we're giving the power back to these affiliates to be able to act as they see fit, act in the service of the people who watch their stations at the local level, not at the national level.
So one of the things you said is that Disney now can decide their network, like what time slot, what show goes on before your show, basically, and the affiliates have no say over that?
No, the affiliates do have a say over that. The affiliates have the ability to decide to preempt a show. If they want to take something off air because they feel that they can put like syndicated programming in there that will get them better views, right? They can do that. But for a long time, Disney has been, well, not just Disney, but any of these national level networks use the size of their platform to exert power over them to get them to not do that, because they want to be able to keep their ratings clean across the board. They want to be able to show their ratings for a show like Jimmy Kimmel in all markets, not just in one that's missing 23% of its audience. And that's not for things that have large scale controversies like this, but rather removing it for local events or local news.
Yeah, you mentioned, Mark, that this is like, it's supposed to be national airwaves. It's not supposed to be biased. It's not supposed to be having things that can...
It's supposed to be equal time.
It's the fairness factor, especially when it comes to anything political. And it's like, that hasn't been, in play for a long time. It was just sort of an understood thing. But for him to actually outright lie and paint half the country with this murderous brush, and then he was offered... you can make it right. You can come back and make a correction and an apology. And he could have, and it could have been sincere, but he didn't. He could have done that before he was canceled or before he was indefinitely suspended. And he said, absolutely not. I'm not doing it.
I will
so
push
it was
back.
not about a joke about Trump. It had nothing to do with Trump. It had to do with him telling a lie about half of the country.
I don't think it was a lie. He didn't lie, technically. He said... they're trying to say that he wasn't MAGA, which technically is true.
That is exactly
we're saying he's not MAGA because he wasn't. So they were saying that.
Ian, have you ever bought a power balance bracelet?
He already knew he wasn't MAGA. He knew it.
Have you ever bought a balance bracelet?
Negative.
No? I bet I could sell you all sorts of crystals, rocks.
Hey, man, deception's not the same as lying. He deceived people. He didn't lie.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't lie. Come on, know the definition of the word lie. I'm trying to win the culture war. You're supposed to use semantics.
That was a lie.
It was a lie.
It was a deception.
Yeah.
Or he was insinuating that maybe he was
lying.
MAGA.
What is
okay? Is lying.
Listen,
No,
what's the difference? If it doesn't fly with your girlfriend, it doesn't fly with the public. If you're gonna tell your girlfriend, right, I didn't lie to you, I deceived you, she's gonna be like, BS, you lied. You can't, like, these semantic.
You can deceive people all sorts of ways, man.
These semantic arguments don't mean anything to normal people.
They mean something to smart people.
Hang on, buddy.
And how many people
wait. Now,
qualify as smart
didn't
people?
we just hear Jasmine Crockett say you can commit a crime, but that doesn't make you a criminal?
Yes.
Okay, that's insanely stupid.
I agree.
Okay,
Holy.
so if you deceive someone, it's in the category of lying.
Other way around.
It is a sin. No,
lying is in the category of deception.
Deception and lying are. They're in the, whatever you want to call it, they're the same thing. If you lie, you're deceiving. If you're deceiving, you're lying.
There's a thing called lying by omission, and it's just it's not lying. That's why it's a type of deception, and it's by
lying by omission. Trust me,
I don't understand why we're arguing this. You're not helping anyone understand.
I just don't want to hear my friends say he lied when he didn't. I don't want to use wrong words right now. It's super important that we're accurate and articulate.
He did.
Well, I don't know. There's no point in like yelling yes, no.
Shall I stay or shall I go?
When people talk about like the evils of the media now, they talk about the tactics they use to deceive, as you say, the American people, which is the idea of, like, if we're talking about a news article, lie by omission, lie by structure. So if you want to hide the important information from somebody in an article, you put it in the last paragraph because you understand the average person doesn't make it.
I just read the definition.
There you go.
A statement made with the intent to deceive.
So it's within the realm of you can do other things that can deceive too.
Let me give you an example, and you'll understand this, and everybody will understand this. My business partner, Mike, great guy. There was a point where we both would drive to the studio in Chicago every day, and then we would drive home to the suburbs where we lived. And for some reason, we got into this contest of like seeing who could get home first. So one time, I got home, I called him, and he wasn't home yet. And he was still in the car. And I said, I beat you home. And he goes, yeah, but did you have to stop and get gas first? And I'm like, oh, gosh, he's right. I didn't.
I'm not saying pull it up. I'm just pointing
that was that was him deceiving me into thinking that he had stopped to get gas. But he was able to say, I never said I stopped to get gas. It's still a lie. Everyone knows at the playground that's a lie.
It was deception. He deceived you without telling a lie.
Which was a lie.
Okay, this is a pointless conversation. So let's.
I agree.
Why don't we? let me see. Let's jump to this next story. We got big news from CNBC. Former FBI Director Comey expected to be indicted soon in Virginia federal court from MSNBC. Now, there are some qualifications to this story. They are trying to bring the indictment now because they have 6 days until the statute of limitations is up. Therefore, homie's getting indicted, right? I mean, I don't see a reality in which they don't pull this off unless somehow a grand jury doesn't return an indictment, which like literally never happens for the federal government. And this is for lying to Congress, I believe.
Deceiving.
Indeed.
You're both correct.
Right. Trump in a social media post on Saturday called Comey guilty as hell. MSNBC reporter Ken Delanian in a post on X wrote Wednesday, the full extent of the charges being prepared against Comey is unclear, but the sources believe that at least one element of the indictment, if it goes forward, will accuse him of lying to Congress during his testimony on September 30th, 2020, about whether he authorized a leak of information. Comey, that day under questioning from Senator Ted Cruz, stood by his prior testimony to the Senate Judiciary Committee that he did not. I remember this. In fact, I'm pretty sure there's a video on my channel, youtube.com/Timcast, Did Comey Lie, where I concluded back then, probably not. Actually, no, wait, this wasn't 2020. He lied a lot. Holy crap. Yeah. That video I was talking about, I think was from 2018. Dang. Okay, well, last week I tweeted, at this pace, I expect to see arrests by I predict we'll see arrests by next week. And then this story broke, and there's a couple other stories about pending indictments as well. To be fair, my prediction is not correct just yet, but what do you guys think?
Can I just ask, who comes up with the statute of limitations? I kind of feel like some of these things, well, when I get to Congress, I'm going to say, I think we should extend all the statute of limitations. We don't have enough time to actually figure some of this stuff out. And then like, oh, no, Biden's son, Hunter, he's, it doesn't matter what he did because we're past the statute of limitations. I think it's kind of ridiculous.
No. I agree with the statute of limitations. The problem
I'm not saying there shouldn't be. I just think I'd like to extend them.
It's hard to know the limits are. The general idea is if the government knows a crime is committed but refuses to prosecute for a certain amount of time, then they can't come back later and do it. The reason for that is you might be accused of a crime, and again, accused is not proven.
Yeah.
And the government then says, we can charge you whenever we want, so you better do what we say. Statute of limitations stops that. But here's the issue. The issue is we didn't go after Comey because Biden was in office, and you couldn't.
And not only that, I don't think we couldn't even get the evidence. It's like sometimes, and this is why I think it's interesting that murder has no statute of limitations. And that's why you murder somebody and it could come back and get you at any point in your life. So I'm not saying what Comey did is tantamount to murder, but I think it's if he got a 4-year head start because he got Biden into office.
What is the actual charge that they're looking at giving this guy, lying to Congress?
Well, that's the one we know of so far, but there may be more.
He seemed like the dirty, during the Hillary email Clinton scandal, when Hillary Clinton's emails were getting 30,000 emails getting destroyed, which was illegal. Comey was kind of, I believe, covering for her in a way. He was like the hard arm of the FBI director?
Yeah,
FBI director.
Head of the FBI.
And their job is to lie to the American people a lot of times.
And deceive.
Yeah, and
sorry,
that's for
I'm
national security. You're right. It's both. It's for national security, and then a little bit concerns me is when the next administration comes in, and they're like, we got to clean up the mess the last guy's made. You're like, not every time. Sometimes just.
No, you do. Ian, if you rented a house and the last guy made a mess on the floor with his butt.
But what if it was a party and it was a really fun party?
You'd still want to clean it up. And maybe you want to hire someone to do it, but you got to clean it up.
So what if you had administration and there was some national security, you have to lie to the people, or you feel like you do, you issue your FBI director, lie to the people. Would you then expect he's going to go to prison in 4 years when you're out of office?
Depends on the lie.
Would you put him in that position knowing that he's going to?
Yes.
Really?
So when you're talking about these lies, it's really easy. I don't play these stupid games where it's like, you can't answer the question. People are like, well, listen, I don't want to, you got to understand. No. The answer is, should the government lie? Yeah. Sometimes, for some reasons, there are reasons why the government lies. That's why we have national security, a security apparatus. That's why we have confidentiality. That's why we have we have security clearances. Sometimes the government has to be like, I'm not going to tell you. Now, the lie part of that, it depends on what your limit is. But let's say that someone accidentally sees a piece of military tech that we need for a national security purpose, maybe a cybersecurity thing. And then this person runs out, goes to the press and says, I saw this guy doing this thing. Well, if you came out and said, it is true, he did see me doing this thing, well, you've exposed whatever that is. At that point, you're probably going to want your government to lie about it and say, this is incorrect. He was never there. And it's silly to think that. In fact, what he actually saw was a weather balloon.
And if Congress calls you to testify under oath, you're still technically supposed to lie.
In certain circumstances, the reality of life is we do not live in the invention of lying with Ricky Gervais. Okay, when your significant other, your wife, your girlfriend says, "Does this make me look fat?" Well, it depends on the kind of person you are, but most people are going to lie. And even if they're like, "I can't lie, you do look a little fat," you can still do it in a nice way. But some people might just be like, "You look great," because they want that person to feel good. We call those little white lies. In government, it's more challenging because, well, the people have a right to know, right? Within certain confines, I believe it's extremely important that information be available to the public. I also recognize you need national security because we go to war sometimes. And could you imagine if the U.S. was like, no matter what we do, whenever we do it, we're going to tell the whole world? Yeah, we'd be conquered in 2 seconds.
George Washington was a master of deception.
Oh, bro, could you imagine if like the founding fathers were like, now before we make any moves, let's hold up gigantic flags and blow our horns and then send letters to all the enemies and make sure they all know exactly what our plan is.
They cross the Delaware and make sure they wake everybody up before they start slitting throats.
Yeah, that's
right?
only fair.
Yeah.
I think with our constitutional right to protection against search and seizure has been violated with the PRISM network, where they can all of our texts and videos and emails are being recorded.
No such network exists.
PRISM?
What do you mean?
Oh yeah, exactly. What about the network that Edward Snowden did not expose?
What about the seizing of property?
That's another. Well, that's technically what's happening when they take your text and your
I was
voicemails.
warned about this. There's a certain level of conspiracy theory stuff that you guys apparently get into. So.
Oh no, the government.
What conspiracy theories?
The government. People are able to take your texts and your voicemails. They used to have to get a warrant for that stuff. Now they just record it and send it to a database.
Civil asset forfeiture is not a conspiracy.
I'm just making a joke.
So Jim Comey testified. Not Jim Comey, but James Clapper to Congress, and he's like, "We did not wittingly spy on the American people. Blatantly lied." Yes. Because they felt like they were supposed to. But this PRISM network that they were spying on people with violated our Fourth Amendment. So, like, at what point are these lies actually upholding the righteousness of the U.S. Constitution?
No, that's for us to decide as the people. We can vote on this. We can get the people in we want. Certainly what Comey is probably going to be accused of doing is lying for political reasons, for self-serving political reasons, not for the good of the country. So, I mean, if that's proven, I think he's in trouble.
Which is, I mean, I think that it's likely that that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
I think there's probably going to be indictments for more stuff.
I mean, the insanity of Russia, the Russiagate thing, the insanity of that and the blatant lying that went around that. And it was not in any way, you cannot talk about that being to save, to protect the American people. It was a pure, horrible way of disabling the Trump administration and the lies that went around that to try to make the Trump administration have no power. And it was self-serving. It was self-serving for the Democrats and all the people who encouraged that and lied about it, including Pencil Neck. What's his name?
You're talking about
Schiff.
Shifty Schiff.
You said it, so I don't have to.
Well, I'm only saying what Donald Trump said because he is a pencil neck. His head is too big for his body.
Here's my metaphor about what's happening on Earth right now.
Doesn't make him a liar, but kind of makes me wonder if he's a liar.
You guys are into video games, so I look at the liberal economic order got built basically to destroy communism and protect the world. They were going for a domination victory, try to take over the planet. Then the Soviet Union ended in '89. But the liberal economic order is still in control. So it's like looking for a nail. It's a hammer. Like, where's my communism? Where's my communism? And so it's, well, Russia, bad guy. Russia. So this machine is built to fight Russia. It's been around, but we don't need it anymore. Now we've made pretty clear, like, it's a diplomatic victory.
When you say the liberal economic order, that's about more like economics than actually like trying to keep Russia in check, right?
It was basically to keep the Soviet Union in check.
And that's what NATO and the UN. I mean, the UN was kind of designed to do that. Not as much as NATO was. NATO was intentionally designed to keep the Warsaw Pact in check. But the liberal economic order, that genuinely is a net benefit for the world.
Yeah.
Right? Bringing countries that had basically had basket case governments and had zero economic activity, had massive amounts of absolute poverty. The liberal economic order, the proliferation of capitalist ideas and free market ideas brought it essentially has gotten rid of abject poverty almost entirely, and there will be only a handful of on a global scale, a handful of people that are in abject poverty by, I think, 2030, the UN and stuff we're saying. So overall, that has been a massive benefit for the human race.
I think what's happening is the holdovers of that thing are these people, these Comey and the Obama administration. It's like they're still in that state of like, we must destroy Russia, control the planet by domination, military victory. And after the Middle East wars, it became apparent to me that we can't. Nuclear threats, we don't have the manpower. And we have to find another path, which is like the cultural victory or the scientific victory. But that machine is still in place, and that's what they were doing. They thought Trump was going to derail it.
Are you talking about NATO?
And he largely is. I mean, this what's really funny is that up until Trump won in 2016, the system was the uniparty. It was one global order. It was the liberal economic order machine, and be it McCain or Obama, you got the same system. Be it Romney or Obama, you got the same system. Trump was not supposed to win and did, and the liberal economic order fell into chaos and panic. And now the craziest thing is, from that point on, conspiracies began to unravel. The Gulf of Tonkin incident was a conspiracy theory my whole life, and now it's just historical fact. All of this insanity is buckling under the failures of the children of the liberal economic order. These people, I have to imagine, the people who started the liberal economic order after World War II, if they could see how their grandchildren are handling this, they would spit on the floor and say, what? But hey, wealth only lasts 3 generations. But you know what? I'm sitting here thinking like, man, I don't think we've won just yet, especially with the terror attacks that we've seen. The left is rearing its ugly head, unwilling to accept defeat. But breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, Alex Jones is back. He tweeted his new YouTube channel, and I recommend all of you go to youtube.com/@AlexJonesLive and subscribe. He's only got 797 subscribers.
You're in the early.
Yeah, look at me.
Now you can start messaging him. Been a subscriber since 907.
I mean, look, this guy's got a small channel, but I think he's pretty good.
He's on the way up.
He's on the way up. Maybe we could bring him on and do a collab, and it'll help boost his subs. Shout out.
Yes. This is why I'm here.
Oh, I'm the 1,000th subscriber.
I'll
remember this day for a long time.
So now Alex Jones tweeted out his new channel. And I'll say this. I think the reason he's not using his older channels is that they, because of the lawsuit against him. So he makes a new channel, which is outside of whatever that suit is, perhaps. I also don't know if YouTube actually unlocked his accounts. I'm wondering if Alex Jones is basically poking the bear. Google announced they will no longer take political censorship. The only reason Alex Jones ever got censored was purely political. It's purely political. Now that he's back, the question is YouTube going to pull him off or not? I will also add, I submitted our Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, Timcast IRL episode for review, and they rejected the appeal. It appears I've submitted it again. I will not stop. And my contact at Google, it's been a couple days, hasn't responded yet. So that, after everything we've seen, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep pressing this, but this looks like a massive victory.
So were his old channels unbanned, or are they still gone?
I don't think so. I can't find them.
Because even if they were, it might be beneficial for him to start a new one. Because, like you said, you started a new channel recently, and you found a reach again. Algorithmically, it likely still would have been throttled.
I think the big issue is the reason I don't think they unbanned him, and I think that there's InfoWars is part of that lawsuit. All of those companies. So Alex Jones is allowed to have human, personal social media, and that's what he's got right now. He's gonna have 1 million subs overnight. I swear.
How did your videos do covering the YouTube censorship? Like on YouTube, how did they do? Moderate,
middle of the road.
Dude, Jim Jordan's a hero. I know it wasn't just him uncovering this stuff and forcing it, but this decision by YouTube or whoever owns, Google, which is owned by Alphabet, that they're like, yeah, okay, gates are open again.
You should everybody should ask their liberal aunt, be like, so about that free speech discussion, did you see what was going on over there at Google? They won't know anything about it because Jimmy Kimmel didn't talk about it.
That would be a good re-election campaign 2028 for the Republican Party, is really explain to people how it worked from 2020 to 2024.
Even that, for like, think about if Jimmy Kimmel just like paid lip service and brought this up, like how much like goodwill he could have won if he didn't want to apologize, made the most like tacit apology to what he did, but also brought up the Google censorship of conservatives. He could have actually made a lot of inroads with people who weren't a fan of what he said, but also are staunchly free speech.
Yeah, he still could,
bro. And Gavin McInnes was brought back to X last week.
I saw that. Yeah.
Elon Musk is like, never heard of him. Like,
did he say that?
Like, he's like, didn't know. Like,
bro, this is wild. I can't say much right now, and if anybody knows, don't say anything. But Friday's Culture War is going to be the most insane thing we ever do.
Ever?
So good. And it's just getting started.
It's going to be the craziest thing we've ever done. Probably.
Yeah, the future is like the potential of crazy for the future is unperceivable. Like I don't even know if you realize how it gets like bigger. Beyond sight. Yeah, it's pretty. It scales exponentially, which is what makes it interesting.
You know, it's crazy that the polarization that we're experiencing, not politically but emotionally. That Alex Jones is back. He's at 3,000 subscribers already. I don't know how long this will last. Maybe they will take a move against him. But if they do, it's going to fly in the face of the statement they gave to the Judiciary Committee and Jim Jordan. Gavin McInnes being unbanned is massive. The uncovering of the censorship is absolutely massive. And while we celebrate this, we also have to contend with the leftist terror attacks against us.
Yeah.
But it's an equal and opposite reaction. All of these tremendous cultural victories are resulting in a massive backlash in some kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but in terms of the scale of victory we have, they are recoiling in a comparable violent fashion.
Yeah,
but that makes it unequal. They're doing kinetic to us doing ideas.
What I mean is like the numerical value of quantifying our victories. They are reacting in a negative. It's an inverse reaction.
Yeah,
right.
Inverse,
also, looking forward at what's coming, we got to remember a corporation has control of this show. Has like a singular corporation called Alphabet can not all. We're on different networks, but Alphabet's power right now. And
we actually get more views on Rumble.
That's awesome. Harrison Sewer, who did a documentary called Game of Money, focusing on the Federal Reserve, said that once the culture war sort of simmers and slows, people will remember that central banking is the issue right now. That our country becoming bankrupt is what will cause people to become radicalized.
And I don't think that it'll cause people to become radicalized. I think that people will be radicalized by societal factors, and then they will become violent. Yeah. Because of a collapse of the monetary system.
I think the wealth gap right now would be a bigger, like they're not gonna, like I'm guessing the average person who's looking at like all the average person who's angry at the billionaires, the have-nots who are angry at the haves, they're not really thinking necessarily about central banking, just what the elites have that they don't.
Yeah, the people that act out, they don't often have a deep understanding of like Austrian economics. They don't have a deep understanding of why they're actually angry. Because if you have a real good understanding of the system and the way that it works, most of the time people say, "Oh, well, I understand this. I can use this to my advantage." It's the people that don't understand it, that don't have the ability to take advantage of the system that we exist in, that get angry and say, the system's unfair, I'm locked out, so I think it'd be better if we just destroy it and tear it all down.
And those were the Bolsheviks at the end of the Soviet, or at the end of the Russian Empire. They were in a terrible economic situation. Weimar Germany, they were completely, and they didn't understand. They just followed along with their socialist government. Well, it was like... So you got the Nazi Party because they didn't understand the economic system.
The Nazis were a reaction to the communists, and the Nazis weren't extremely far away economically from the communists, right? They were kind of fighting over the same ground.
National Socialists. It was still authoritarian. Yeah. The thing, I'm looking at this, and I read F.A. Hayek and The Road to Serfdom, and I understand a lot about economics and conservative ideology. What's slapping me in the face right now is the difference right now is between the two sides is a spiritual difference. And that's what I saw Charlie Kirk actually emphasize. And turning point literally means, I know I'm changing the subject, but I'm not.
No, it's fine.
Because what I'm saying is that we can get away from ideas and rational and logic, and we can argue all sorts of things. But what I'm actually seeing is a spiritual battle going on in this country, in the world, and repentance means to turn from the direction you're going in. You're going in this direction. Repent means turn around. We, as humanity, have been traveling away from God, and it's time to turn around and come back to God. And that's how simple that is. And what I'm seeing is Gen Z men, especially Gen Z males, actually realizing that they have one choice. We talked about this before the show, but they're either going to be nihilistic, suicidal murderers, murdering suicidal people, or they're going to find something that's actually real, that is, and the generations ahead of Gen Zs have not been providing these kids anything tangible. And Charlie was saying there is a tangible thing. There is something there for you, and it's called loving God. And you start with loving God, and everything else will come back to you. And I'm seeing these kids going, thank you. That's what I need. I don't need to read a bunch of more philosophy books. I need something that's spiritual, that's actually solid. And to me, it's amazing to see that this could happen. It's a revival.
I need to add this in the context of Alex Jones from The Hollywood Reporter. Jessica Chastain says she does not agree with Apple's decision to postpone The Savant. So for those unfamiliar, one of the stupidest things I've ever seen, they did this show. I mean, this just shows you how much they're losing.
It's so sad.
In the same segment where we say Alex Jones is back, we can also mention this show, The Savant, where you want to describe it, Brett? You're the master of this stuff.
Yeah. There's a Karen. You know, it's a female leftist power fantasy where a woman gets on the internet and she infiltrates far-right extremist chat rooms to expose domestic terrorism. It's based on like a 2019 article from Cosmopolitan that's based on a real thing.
I doubt it.
No, it is based on a real thing. What they don't point out is that, like, we talked about it today, is like the first group infiltrated and exposed was actually like a Muslim terrorist organization, but that's not what this will be. This will end up being, you know, right-wing.
Yeah, they're semi-canceling it.
And she listed a bunch of, in her very long, you know, letter, she listed a bunch of different, you know, recent terror attacks. To her credit, she didn't just list stuff that happened to left-wing people, but she did also mention Charlie Kirk and others. But what she doesn't, she's not willing to admit, because she says, we need this event, we need this show right now in this country so we can talk about domestic terrorism. She doesn't point out that the show most likely would not have shown any left-wing domestic terrorism at all.
I want to give this its own segment, so I'm going to start from the top for those that are watching just the segment. It's a story from The Hollywood Reporter. Jessica Chastain says she does not agree with Apple's decision to postpone The Savant. The gist of the show is that, as Brett Desvik of Pop Culture Crisis just described, it is a lib-fem power fantasy where a suburban mom goes on the internet and infiltrates far-right chat rooms and then stops their terror attacks. And as Brett mentioned in her post, disagreeing with the fact that her show's basically being pulled, maybe they'll bring it back Jimmy Kimmel style, she listed a bunch of attacks, and as I started reading these, I was like, oh boy, let's debunk this in the best way we can. She writes, in the last 5 years since we've been making the show, we've seen an unfortunate amount of violence in the United States. The kidnapping attempt on Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Let's pause there. Now, as most people know, I think, 80% of the men involved were informants. And it was a couple of guys who were, I don't want to say necessarily entrapped, but basically entrapped.
Right.
There was one instance where the informants drove a guy around her house, and he was like, what are we doing? And then they arrested him for it. So let's continue on.
They're like, do it.
She then mentions the January 6th attack on the Capitol, and I will give her that one 100% not good. And she just described it as an attack, and I think that's fair. She didn't say insurrection or anything. People did storm into the building and smash windows.
Notice she didn't mention like all the stuff that happened when Brett Kavanaugh was being.
I gotta read. The assassination attempts on President Trump. Agreed. The political assassinations of Democratic reps in Minnesota. Now this one really gets me. You know why? It was Greg Gutfeld who made a really great point. The guy who killed these people in Minnesota, he didn't do it for overt political reasons.
Right.
He may have been a Trump supporter. He may have not been. He may have been an appointee of Waltz. I will stop.
No kings.
I will just, indeed, in his car. Now, I will just stop and say this. For the sake of argument, I will give the left that this guy was a Trump supporter. Don't care. He was a Trump supporter. Okay, thank you. He didn't kill these people because of political reasons. He knew them. So this appears to be not motivated by the rhetoric of Republicans. Still bad, must be condemned, but a distinction that I think is warranted. The attack on Speaker Pelosi's husband was a crazy guy. Literally, there was nothing political there.
No politics.
No politics at all. The assassination of Charlie Kirk, agreed. The recent shooting in an ABC affiliate station in California, yeah. Over 300 school shootings across this country, I agree with that one. These incidents, though far from encompassing the full range of violence witnessed in the United States, illustrate a broader mindset that crosses the political spectrum and must be confronted. I've never shied away from difficult subjects, and while I wish the show wasn't so relevant, unfortunately it is. Unfortunately, the show as depicted in the trailer was literally just showing white supremacists.
Please pull, if you can, find the article from Variety asking, it says like, you should not, why pulling the savant is like the worst thing you could do right now. I don't know if that's enough to find it.
Apple postponing is a huge...
Yes, pull that up and read it.
Is a huge mistake.
Yes, pull it up and read the opinion.
In a shocking decision, Apple TV is postponing the premiere of Jessica Chastain drama series The Savant, offering another chilling example of how business giants are running scared of the Trump administration and bowing to pressure before it even exists. The series had been scheduled to premiere September 26th. After careful consideration, we have made the decision to postpone The Savant, an Apple TV Plus spokesperson said in a statement to Variety. We appreciate your understanding and look forward to releasing the series in a future date.
Oh, is it? Okay. It's okay. I'm looking for a different one. It's let me see if I can find it.
Well, it does say... Apple's making a huge mistake.
Okay, scroll down.
Yeah, that was just the intro to the article.
Okay, yeah, you have to read the actual...
Having watched the 8-episode series for review, it's clear The Savant is precisely the type of show America needs right now. It looks at a sector of mostly white male individuals who believe that America belongs to them. Fueled by hate, bigotry, xenophobia, and misogyny, they talk cruelly and candidly online about enacting harm and violence towards individuals or others who they feel are unworthy of being in their country.
Wow, talk about projection.
So I have a video. I recommend everyone subscribe to youtube.com/@TimPool. The Tim Pool Show YouTube channel. It's a new channel. I did the math. Recorded live, went on ChatGPT and said, conservative political violence. It said there's around 320 if you include January 6th. I said leftist, 13,709 if you include the George Floyd riots. If you remove January 6th and the George Floyd riots, let's just say they cancel each other out. They don't, but let's just say they do. There's around 100 far leftist, not even far left, just liberal, Democrat-aligned violence in the past 5 years, and 2 from the right. And I will say this too with respect for the intelligence of the audience. There was a right-wing individual who sent a threat over the Jimmy Kimmel thing initially. So this person, I guess, threatened violence against ABC because of what Jimmy Kimmel said. And Bob Iger and Dana Waldron apparently were concerned about threats stations had received from the right. Mm-hmm. And I think that's fair to point out. There was also an individual who tried burning down some church and was motivated by something. I don't know exactly the details. I got no problem pointing that out. The bigger question as it pertains to all this violence is, should I be, if I was to walk, I'm walking down the street, right? And I see a pink-haired, black-clad individual, and I look to my right, and I see a chubby white guy in a MAGA hat. Which side of the street should I stand on? Mm-hmm. It's obvious to literally everybody. Yeah. The likelihood that middle-class white Trump guy is going to do anything to you is slim to none. Oh. And while I think it's fair to point out that the pink-haired weirdo on the left probably won't do anything either, if we're talking strictly about which is more likely, we all know it's the left.
So one of the things I noticed after Charlie Kirk's shooting, and I saw people arguing right away about the motives of this person and, his belief system and all of this different stuff. And I was like, no, we're going to find all that out. It's all going to come out eventually, and it's going to be fascinating. We're going to try to figure out about siloing inside this virtual reality and the world of social media that is consuming a generation of people. What's more important to me is I'm looking at the people who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death, and I was seeing people who you'd have thought were normal, quote-unquote, middle-of-the-road leftists who happen to be doctors and teachers and lawyers and business people, and they were literally celebrating this horrible act of political violence. I've never seen anything on the right to compare to that. I've never seen normal people on the right celebrating something as heinous as what happened to Charlie Kirk. So I'm more concerned about, where is society now that it's okay for people to celebrate? And we're talking about people in Congress, people on the floor of Congress actually saying that Charlie Kirk deserved this because of his evil thoughts. That's the part that scares me the most, is not that there's some wackos that are feeding off each other in their silos on social media, and they do horrible things, and they're probably encouraged by the leftist rhetoric. It's that there's such a huge portion of our society that can actually celebrate this event. And that freaks me out more than anything.
I think that psychosis comes from people talking shit at each other on the internet, and there's no immediate response.
It's not an either-or thing. There's nothing commensurate on the right.
Yeah, like
well, I mean, let's be real. When I saw the George Floyd riots, I thought this is how we're supposed to live. And then when I saw that big prayer vigil, I was terrified because, like most Americans, prayer is the most threatening thing to them.
I think that to Marty's point, though, like
going on here,
the closest.
Hold on, to Marty's point, though, like when you hear the things that the left brings up that they're complaining about, things like Pelosi or the Minnesota lawmakers that were killed, they were not specifically they were not right wingers going after people. And the Pelosi incident is one that I've made this remark about multiple times. Like, it's ridiculous for them to say, "Oh, this was a political attack," the right was celebrating it. No one on the right celebrated
Nobody.
it. The right laughed about the circumstances, yes, because it was ridiculous. They're both in their underwear, right? And one guy attacked Speaker Pelosi's husband, and that's bad. But nobody was saying this is good. I'm glad that they did, he deserved it. Right. He was a bad person, and we need to see more of that. Or there's more people that should be on the list, and that is what the biggest problem was. Like, it's horrifying that Charlie got murdered, but the context is greater than just Charlie's murder because the left celebrated in a gleeful and joyous way, and then they called for more and listed off the people that they thought needed to be killed.
Here's the thing. I'm small potatoes.
The right never did.
I'm out in Nevada, and I had just talked to TPUSA, and passed their test, and then TPUSA at University of Nevada, Las Vegas was part of a group of young people who wanted me to come and speak to them. Charlie Kirk gets assassinated. And then the next Monday, I'm supposed to go to UNLV and speak to this group. And I had a fleeting thought, like, I wonder if I should do this. Is this a safe thing to do? And, of course, the very next thought is, I can't possibly let these people win. I can't live in fear. None of us should live in fear. But it's just insane to me that, that's the kind of thing that these people want us to do. By celebrating... Yeah. It makes all of us think twice. Tim, I'm sure you get all sorts of horrible threats all the time.
You can look them up on Blue Sky.
And so you're not going to go. Probably, I'm going to go do an outdoor convention on Saturday for fun.
We canceled our Alex Stein and I had a college event scheduled for 2 weeks. It's canceled. We can't get the security for it.
It's just that is such a sad thing.
For as long as I've worked at this company, there have been swattings and incidents. And after what happened to Charlie Kirk, I was on my honeymoon, and my wife literally said, "This is the first time that I've thought maybe I don't want you working in this industry."
Was it? Were you outside?
Yeah, the first time
when they pointed the guns at you.
Yeah, me and Andy. Yeah.
Was that a swatting?
So, the very first time that there was a swatting, me and Andy were walking in from one of the other buildings, and
we were skating, right?
Yeah, we were out skating, and we were coming back, and the cops literally were like, "Hands up." Walk backwards towards us.
Yeah.
Well, you had skateboards. I mean, that makes sense.
No, rollerblades. It's even worse.
Rollerblades.
They were walking.
Actually,
the point being,
your blades on your feet.
The point being that it's
roll backwards.
We work at a media company, and we have to worry about these types of things. And,
on the left,
and I don't even want to talk about this with my family. I don't want to scare my family or my parents or anything like that.
You know what I think why we see what you think on the left is where this kind of psychosis of violence when on the people on the right. I think that people that have sort of been broken or that are at a level of intellect where they're easily manipulated by media are drawn to groupthink, and that is like communism, collectivism. And so they find themselves identifying with what do we think, everyone, on the internet, that type of stuff like that. And people that are resistant to it are more drawn to individualism and owning your property and protecting yourself. And so they gravitate in another direction.
I'm telling you guys, let's open our eyes. Godless communism. That is like a funny thing to say. It's like an old-fashioned conservative boomer thing to say, but it's actually true.
Yeah.
Marx and Lenin and the progressives all the way through, all the way up to Derrida and the philosophers of the French and the deconstructionists. They want God gone, and it goes all the way back to Romantic poets and philosophy, and it's a rebellion against God. And when you eliminate God, you're open to this, and that's where the psychosis and the evil comes from.
I think the antidote is virtue. Charlie was like, talked about Erica when he met Erica, and he said she's Christ-like. And I'm like, okay, that's our job as Christians, or just to live in a good way. You want to be Christ-like. You don't want to be Christ, because that adjective is to explain the anointed one by God, Jesus of Nazareth. But you can be like Christ. And if you embody the sin opposite the virtue of the 7 virtues of Catholicism, chastity, diligence, you have temperance, charity, patience, humility, and kindness. And those 7 things are so important to embody. If you embody the sin opposite, you become anti-Christ. And that's what, if someone super famous and well-loved starts to embody sin, people might erroneously say he is the anti-Christ. He's just anti-Christ in that moment. They can still redeem themselves.
That sounds like all of the left. Like when you described those 7 things, the inverse of that, it's like the left is what? They're arrogant, prideful, wrathful, lazy, envious.
It's 7 deadly sins. Yeah, right. I mean, it's always cracked me up that there's Pride Week and now Pride Month, and it's like,
what about Sloth Month?
It's one of the 7 deadly sins. Like, you could have come up with better. This reminds me of when the company that took Halo over decided to name their company after one of our main villains. 343 Guilty Spark was a villain, and then 343 Guilty Industries made Halo.
They love the left loves the villains.
It's important. We can all become anti-Christ.
Always love the losers.
We can all become anti-Christ. So it's important to stay virtuous, because like when Trump said, "I hate my opponent," he was embodying wrath, which is anti-Christ. And if you don't check him on that and let him go down that road, it can become.
He asked to be checked. That's what I loved about it. He was asking, "You can please try to redeem me. I think I'm making a mistake here." And he had a somewhat smile on his face. Trump's being Trump, and he wants to be redeemed. He's asking for help.
That's why I said we got to go to your Rumble rants and super chats. So smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know right now. That uncensored portion of the show is coming up at 10 p.m. You don't want to miss it. It's going to get fun, not so family friendly, of course. But join our Discord server at timcast.com. Click join us, and it's a party. There's tens of thousands of people there, and they're wondering why you aren't hanging out. Before we go to your chats, we got a great sponsor, my friends. It is Block Trust IRA. Check out blocktrustira.com/Tim. Cryptocurrency is here to stay. Block Trust IRA is making crypto accessible to everyday Americans looking to build retirement wealth. Their white glove concierge service walks you through the entire process. No overseas call centers, just real American crypto specialists helping you invest safely. What truly sets them apart? Block Trust IRA believes Bitcoin changed the game. Now AI changes the strategy. Their exclusive access to the award-winning Animus AI technology, recognized by Bitcoin Magazine as the #1 crypto platform among 1,500 plus global competitors. The system works 24/7, executing sophisticated strategies that outperform traditional buy and hold approaches by a significant margin, minimizing risk and maximizing opportunity. With over 60 cryptocurrencies to choose from, and military-grade security protecting your investments with $200 million in insurance, you can diversify with complete peace of mind. Whether you're rolling over an IRA, 401k, or just starting in crypto, Block Trust IRA has you covered. For a limited time, you can get up to $2,500 in free bonus crypto when you open an account. So check out blocktrustira.com/Tim. Don't forget, all investing has risks. You guys need to make sure you are making these decisions for yourself and based on the advice from these individuals, what you think works. I will also just add on top of this, I am very, very happy personally that I bought Bitcoin 10 years ago.
I'm happy I bought it like 6 months ago.
That's true. But in all seriousness, we like the Block Trust guys and everything. Just make sure you're doing your due diligence. It's your money. Make sure you're taking care of yourself.
By the way,
it's going to come down to what your responsibility.
I bought Apple in 1998. That's all I'm saying.
Ooh, nice job. My first Bitcoin was at 70 cents, And then I sold it at $5, dancing like, let's go. And then I had 20 Bitcoin when it was at $20, and I sold it, and I was like, let's go. It spiked to $20, and I was like, guys, I got $400. Let's go. I'm taking out to dinner.
Yeah.
There's no way anyone would have expected $100,000 per Bitcoin. Listen, I was on these forums. I was hanging out with these people back in 2011 when Bitcoin hit like 70 cents. I went to $1 or whatever. I've been using this. No one thought, we were all like, wow, it's at $20. What do you think? So when it went up to, when it crashed down to 1,000, I was like, I'm done. And I bought a bunch.
When it was at 80,000, I was like, it's so much. I'll buy. And then it went up by 50% to 120,000.
Yeah.
I bought in at 30,000. It was like 27, and I was like, I'm just going to buy some more.
And remember Max Kaiser being like, Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million, and everyone's like,
Oh, that's so Alex Jones has the story where Max offered him 10,000 Bitcoin, and Alex was like, I don't know, whatever, I don't care. And then my story is comparable because, back in the day, like Max is in El Salvador now, but shout out to Max Kaiser and Stacey Herbert. I see them much more periodically. And Max was like, Tim, I'm telling you, just buy a bunch of Bitcoin right now, and you hang out with us, and you're going to be rich. And I was like, okay, Max, I get it. And then I didn't.
Some crypto people will be like, talk about other cryptos. There's other cryptos that are better, but Bitcoin's like the VHS. There might be a Betamax that's a better piece of tech out there, but everyone knows Bitcoin.
Let's read some chats. We got Liberty Denny says, in California, the first ICE agent is doxxed, and them or their family is harmed. Everyone who signed SB 627 should be charged as an accessory and imprisoned for enabling it. Laws have consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Jolly 1976 says, I'm a Flintstones kid.
Yay! And growing.
Oh, yeah.
That was my daughter singing that. I wrote it, as you know.
You wrote that?
Oh, well, come on, Tim. Hey, do some research, buddy.
I didn't know about the Flintstones thing. Wow.
Yeah, we are Flintstones kids, 1985. I wrote that in the car.
I wasn't alive.
I know. I figured that. You have grown. So did you ever take a Flintstones vitamin?
Of course.
Okay.
We always
did. I love them.
And the kids wanted to eat more than you're allowed to eat.
Yes.
They were yummy.
That's why all the memes were like, why I haven't gotten COVID-19 yet. And it was
Flintstones.
Is your daughter still a musician? Because she's a great singer.
She is a good singer, but no, she's a wonderful. She's got a 501c3 nonprofit that helps foster kinship care. It's called. It's foster kids, and she's serviced over 30,000 kids in Nevada alone. But she was 5 when she sang "And Growing."
Wow.
So, and she's saying we used that clip of her singing "And Growing" on many commercials, and it put her through college. By the way,
I don't know if this is rude or anything, but would you be able to play something on our electric piano?
Possibly, yeah. I could probably try.
We'll have that for the uncensored portion of the show.
All right.
I don't know if it's hooked up or what we need to do to make it work or whatever.
Serge
but
is on it.
We'll figure it out. All right. Skyline says youth not taught values by parents are like empty clear glass, easy for communists to fill with any colored propaganda and turn into killers. Parents must pass on values into kids. Government won't.
This is the thing about Catholicism that I love. I've spoken a lot of crap about Catholicism. I have issues with authority controlling religion, but that they forced people to repeat the virtues. This was a huge part of Catholicism. You remember what are the 7 virtues. It's an integral. And now we have a free speech society. We don't compel speech. And because of that, you see it as kind of drifted from remembering what these virtues are. So it's important that we do it of our own free will so that we don't have some authority come in and try and force it.
Indeed. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. What is it? Unit Glue says, I'm wondering how much holy water can fix right now. Watch the interviews with the exorcist that assisted with the movie Nefarious. They speak very openly about how much the demonic loves technology. So we did a whole episode on the Culture War podcast Friday morning.
Yeah.
Last Friday about exorcisms. And I asked Father Aaron, what do you think a leftist would do if you tried to forcefully exorcise them? Can you imagine how they'd act? It would look like The Exorcist.
It would.
Now, here's the funny thing about it.
Lots of squirming and screaming. And
right. Like,
profanities.
imagine if there were some leftists outside and a priest walked up and started saying, the power of Christ compels you or whatever they say. They'd be going, rah, rah, fuck you, rah. Now, hold on. Imagine what would happen if a Christian conservative was walking down the street and a priest tried to forcefully exorcise him.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, thank you, Father.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. It's funny, right?
Bless me, Father, I've sinned.
Yeah, he'd say like, I thank you, Father.
Yeah.
Like it would just be a calm and okay. I got to be honest, man. I think some people are possessed because think about a normie. A normie might be like, what are you doing? They wouldn't freak out like leftists would. Like these people at these rallies who like, I don't even want to begin to describe what some of these people are like.
Yeah.
You've seen the videos.
It makes you more like them when you get in their headspace like that.
Yeah.
That's why empathy is bad. Sympathy is better. I agree with Charlie. When you hear the full explanation of that, empathy is actually feeling the feelings somebody else has, and it's not necessarily a healthy place to be. Yeah. You don't want to actually feel those feelings. You want to have sympathy for someone who's going through pain. You don't want to necessarily feel exactly what they're feeling because it could be pretty bad and demonic.
Shane H. Wilder says, Ian is right. Forgiveness does not equate justice being served, nor does it equate reconciliation. The original Hebrew is not thou shalt not kill. It is thou shalt not murder.
Right.
Yeah, this is a really important distinction because Erica Kirk says she forgives the killer, and there were a bunch of, like, I don't know, moderate lib types that were saying, like, what does it even mean? Like, you don't want him to go to jail or something like that? And it's just like, no, she's saying she won't hold the hate in her heart. She won't let it weigh her down. I think she certainly expects the death penalty.
Yeah.
Someone had mentioned in a chat that maybe Charlie would have wanted this guy that's killed him to, if he could be involved, to have multiple life sentences so that he can actually repent.
I mean, I think the general view among most of the Christians is there must be some sort of penance, and we must protect society, but it is preferable if you seek what's the right way to describe this, I guess? Absolution, like come to terms with what you've done, ask for forgiveness. And forgiveness doesn't mean you get to walk free and not face the penalty for what you've done. Maybe, I think the general idea is that it's when you ask for forgiveness, it is just about releasing that pain from within for both parties if you truly mean it. But you're gonna go to jail. In this instance, I think Utah wants the death penalty. So. All right, what do we got? Kisham says, Kimmel saying if Trump shuts down other shows, he hopes his viewers to respond tenfold. Does that include terror threats? That's literally what happened. I don't know how you take it any other way, guys.
Yeah.
When Jimmy Kimmel, when a viewer shoots up an ABC station and he says, thank you, maybe Jimmy Kimmel should have come on the air and says, did you hear this guy shut up a station? I mean, this is insane. Guys, stop. What are you doing? No. He said, do more. I don't think people recognize where we are. No, I take that back. I think they get it. I think at this point, people are really starting to get it. And it's terrifying. All right. Pinochet says, Ian doesn't acknowledge that the communist hunters have turned into globo-homo communist demanders. What do you mean? Who's that? Like the U.S. government?
Talking about the liberal economic order?
Oh, so. Right.
Social technocrats?
They're demanding everyone be a... Yeah. There's a lot of that kind of stuff around here. But he's saying that the global economic order used to be about vaguely right-leaning things, and now it's very much about global homogenation.
And stamping out populism.
And yeah, exactly.
All right, let's see what else we got. I think we got one more rant here. Bryflex says, Sinclair and Nexstar percentage of majority Trump versus Kamala in 2024 using the location of ABC affiliates. Trump County cities, 24, Harris 16, not that lopsided. What else have we? All right, let's see what we got here. Secession Now says, another show, Tim bitching about Civil War. I think I will skip it tonight. I guess you don't want to pay attention to the news because we had a terror attack this morning on an ICE facility and
there have been 4.
I don't think I said Civil War tonight.
There's been 4 ICE attacks in the past.
Yeah.
There's been 4 ICE attacks on ICE facilities in the past 2 weeks. The idea that we shouldn't cover this or discuss this is just ridiculous. He can go and watch, something on video games or other topics, but to if you are covering the news, you are covering these things, period.
That's why you should just come watch Pop Culture Crisis, where we'll make fun of the savant and talk about the deranged leftist female power fantasies instead.
And if you're playing Halo while Marty's talking, you're listening to the guy that made the music.
That's right.
Of the game you're playing as you're playing it.
Kai says, Marty, thank you for making the music for my favorite game. Also, damn you for taking part in making the horror. Who at Bungie thought it was a good idea to add zombies to a space game with RPGs?
With RPGs?
Well, yeah, that was. I have to. When rocket launchers were in the hands of, they weren't zombies. They were too fast for zombies. They were the Flood, and that was me. So Yeah, that was a little bit scary when all of a sudden you ran in the library and the flood had rocket launchers.
And the first time
it was unfair.
The first time that you run into the flood, like the first encounter, it actually was pretty scary as far as like video games go.
Yeah,
it was really cool. It was
tried to scare the kids.
Gave them more weapons and bigger. And
as you went further, suddenly they had the ultimate weapon, and you're like, you came around a corner and got a face full of rocket, and you're like, who shot that? The flood is shooting rockets now. It was a little bit.
Did you also do all the original Destiny stuff?
I did music for Destiny and all the actors, including Peter Dinklage.
But I don't understand how they the original Destiny story was just hodgepodge nonsense, and everybody knew. We loved the game anyway.
You realize I got fired just before it came out.
Well, I don't know.
Why?
Is it because you wanted to fix it?
Yes, it actually was. I'm working on a book, believe it or not, and it will tell my story of my time at Bungie and in video games. But yeah, there was some discussions and disagreements about how that whole thing was handled, and the story was trashed. The original story that we had been working on got trashed, and then they were going to try to fix it at the last minute, and it was like that was impossible. It's going to be junk. It's going to be garbage.
I mean, it largely was with the gameplay.
Goodbye to me.
Gameplay was good.
Yeah,
but man, this is what, 2014.
Exactly, 2014. Good for you.
Because me and my buddies would play this nonstop.
Yeah.
Back when you could actually farm the glitch.
Yeah, when you shot into the cave.
That's right. Yeah, they took it away from us, and it's like, why? And they're like, because you're not playing the game we want. And well, I guess the general idea is you level up too quickly, it ruins the gameplay and things like that.
It shouldn't have been. It was the way the game that I was going to work on was going to be Halo meets World of Warcraft, and I thought that would be pretty cool.
Wow.
But I don't think that's what we ended up doing, and I wasn't happy. And the story got it junked.
Did you play it pretty extensively? I'd imagine you did.
Only when I was working on it. I didn't play what was shipped.
Because, it was one of the things I really loved about the original World of Warcraft and the original Destiny was in World of Warcraft, we called it glitch hopping.
Yeah.
You could exploit map terrain and go into unexplored areas, and then you could learn about upcoming expansions. And in Destiny, you could do that with a sparrow. You could go up to a wall and then you could click through the wall or whatever. And then we found areas that weren't previously released, and they took it all away from us. And it's like, then the game becomes really boring. The one thing I will say about Destiny is it probably has one of the worst stories I've ever seen for any game ever, from start to finish. Every expansion has just been the most absurd, stupid, poorly written garbage. I'm sorry if that's offensive to you. I don't know. Maybe it's not.
Not to me. I wasn't there, so I was not happy with it.
I can't remember the last one I played. I think it was when you unlocked the darkness or whatever, and I was just like, they have no idea what they're doing. The story is just such cockamamie BS, and it really ruined it for me.
What was the destiny of the story?
Nothing.
What was the point?
Well, there was none. No.
Yeah. And it's like
the original Traveler was completely different. The original Ghost was completely different. Even the gameplay was going to be different than what ended up happening. And for example, all the AI companions were going to go on missions with you, and you wouldn't have just one ghost that was just spewing mindless.
Are you allowed to give us the story?
I've already been sued and countersued and been countersued and found in contempt. That's all behind me now. I'm past all of it.
So you can't?
I can.
Oh, okay. So can you elevator pitch what the original story was supposed to be?
Wow. That would be a hard elevator pitch, but it was, like I said, it was going to be Destiny, was going to be World of Warcraft, and Halo come together. So the story would evolve as you're playing with your friends. So, for example, the Crow was a character who ended up being someone who was like going to be this cool mercenary kind of outlaw. You didn't know if you could trust him, and he was going to go on missions with you, and you'd find loot and you'd find stuff, and you'd uncover the outer belt that had his sister was ruling it, and it was just going to be all sorts of cool things like that. The story changed so drastically. We got rid of entire characters like Rasputin and some other things.
Well, he's still in it, sort of.
No, but I mean the names are there, but it's not the story we had.
I think one of the worst things about it was I don't think the people at Bungie understood that I wanted to see I wanted to see victory.
Yeah.
And so all they kept giving us was defeat.
Yeah.
And so every time, this is why I basically stopped playing, because every expansion was basically like, humans lose again. And I'm like, stop losing.
Yeah.
Like Battlestar
I wanted to
Galactica.
come back to the game. I wanted the expansion to be like, there's a new city. Yeah. And then it's like humanity is reviving and you're reclaiming planets. Instead, it's just like, nah, you're losing.
Yeah.
You're losers.
I think Battlestar Galactica pulled that off in the storyline I don't know if you're familiar with it, Brett. Fascinating storyline because they're running from these robot AI creatures that are destroyed.
And of course, the problem with that is everybody turned out to be a robot. I mean,
right? Yeah,
is she a robot? No, wait, they're all robots. By the end, it was like I swear everybody
started strong, and then it was just them losing over and over again.
But yeah, Destiny had a very complex story, and by the time I saw the rewritten script, and I had to work on some of that script because I was sort of biding my time before I got fired. I had put in my, I object, and nobody cared. Wow. Well, was the line, I don't have time to explain why I don't have time.
I was going to ask, why?
I recorded that line, and I was like, I remember sitting at a table read, actually being the guy reading that line, and I just looked around like,
I was going to ask you,
really?
What was the reason the stranger didn't have time to explain why she didn't have time?
There was no reason. It was because the writer didn't know what to say. We had no answer to anything.
Couldn't you get a 15-year-old kid and be like, hey, draw a picture and we'll make that the reason?
Yes, that could have happened. That's sort of what I was suggesting, at least.
Look, I think they made money off the game, so
yeah.
There you go.
And I made money when Sony bought Bungie because I sued for my founder's stock, and
all right.
they had to give me my founder's stock, and then I waited until Sony bought them, and then I was like, all right.
I think the gameplay was largely good. I think it's broken at a certain point, but Destiny and Destiny 2, me and my friends played nonstop. I think my buddies still play it all the time. Actually, I don't even know
the raids. Did you play like any of the raids?
Oh yeah, all of them, dude.
Okay,
oh man.
I remember the guy who designed the raids. He said, "Marty, the thing you want to have Destiny be, it's not the game, but it is in the raids." And I'm like, "Sorry, Luke." That was Luke Smith.
The Glass. What was it called?
Yeah, the first one was
Glass something.
Vault of Glass.
Vault of Glass, dude. And then we would push. We push them off the edge. We would
the big round thing.
No, the giant Vex. The original cheese was that you'd force him to walk off the edge and kill himself and instantly win.
Okay,
man, that was so much fun. Yeah, Vault of Glass, the Vex. I forgot the guy's name. I'm sure people in the chat are gonna remember. And then, who was the son of? Man, it's been so long. When the other raid, the expansion into the dark or whatever it was
Oryx?
called.
By that
Oryx.
time,
Was it? No. Oryx was the big guy.
Okay.
Right? Who is the?
Is there a chained up guy? Is that what you're talking about? The one was no. See, I never played the final shipping versions of the game, so I don't know how bad it got.
I still play a little bit of Destiny.
Yeah, cool.
Destiny 2. Yeah,
right. I like
it's not
it.
so
It was,
great anymore. It's not so great now. The most recent expansion is
Crota.
That's what I heard. Crota.
Okay, Crota.
Yeah.
The Crota raid. Yeah, I remember.
Oh man.
Crota, the son of Oryx.
Have they successfully made a game that would be a cross between Halo and?
I don't think
Warcraft
anybody
yet?
has. No. And it might be the problem is that might be a hard.
Part of the reason why I started playing Destiny was because the actual gunplay was so similar to Halo.
Well, the gunplay was, but
Yeah.
the what we could do with scripting events inside the game, so you could have a sense of flow and progression and victory, and even I can tell you one of the things I remember when this decision was made. It was like, well, not everybody can be a hero, and I'm like, but if you're playing a game, you want to be a hero.
That's the point of playing video games.
This is a problem.
Was it to make people be bad or something?
No, it was just like, this is what's going to cause you to want to play with your friends and have and join up with other people in the universe. We had no control over what we used to call the AI. So the characters that are AI characters that play along with you, we had no way to control them inside the game. We couldn't script things. And so I said, well, where are the friendly Marines? Where's the friendly AI? Where's the people who are going along with you? That's part of what Halo is. You can't get rid of that. And they're like, well, we have to for these technical reasons. And I'm like, okay, well, we need technical reasons that brings that back because we're going to lose something really important in the way the gamers feel about who they are in the game and how they're respected. And it's like, oh yeah, other players that you meet along the way are going to give you that. I'm like, no, they're not. Yeah, they're other schlubs out in the world.
Fallout 76 tried that and they went, whoops.
It doesn't work.
I will say this, Vault of Glass, they've never lived up to it. And I presumably because it was the first raid, it was the in-game. And so the complexity, the puzzles, the gameplay.
See, they were able to do it only in the raids could they do the scripting that was similar to Halo. And that's what Luke told me. He says, well, don't worry, Marty, we're doing it in the raid. And I'm like, Luke, that's not the game. That's a little bonus extra part of the game.
Because the raids take 6 people and not everybody's really that social. Some people just want to do stuff. Like the dungeons, you can get away with doing solo, right? But the raids and stuff like that, which is,
It organized.
Let me you play World of Warcraft?
I played a little bit, but not much.
I played it when it first came out back in vanilla, level 60, tier 2 PvP rogue, all that good stuff.
Okay.
I was a destroyer, field marshal gear, all that good stuff. That means I'm obviously not the best. I didn't have grand marshal or anything like that.
But you still felt like a hero. I get it.
No, it was really difficult to get that gear at the time. Alterac Valley was the best.
Yeah, it is.
And but I can tell you where they broke the game, and it started to come around. In the vanilla game, you had to make friends. You had no choice. And those friends attached you to the game. So I think we had TeamSpeak at the time. Mm-hmm. That's what we used. Man, this is 20 years ago? Mm-hmm. And so I'm running around and I'm like level 30 something rogue. I got no idea what's going on. And then someone comes up and they're like, are you in a guild yet? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to do, what's that?
Slay Hogger?
No, that's like level 10, bro. Level 30 was what was it? It's the
Ungoro. No, you're talking about Dark Maul. What is it?
No, it's the red area and it's been so long since I played vanilla.
Badlands.
It's you go into the cave. I don't know. It's a level 30 dungeon instance. And so anyway,
with all those ogres, those big ogres.
The Trogs.
Okay.
Or whatever. But anyway, so I end up joining a guild, and then they're like, here's our server for TeamSpeak or whatever. Then I joined, and they're like, hey, what's up, man? Welcome to the guild. And I was like, hey, how's it going? And they're like, hey, my name's so-and-so. Like, here's what we're doing. Let us know if you ever need any help or any materials or whatever. Like, let us know. And then I'm like, cool. And then all of a sudden, I was going online, and it was like a friends list again, like when I was a kid on AIM.
Yep. They
got rid of that for the auto raid function. Now, I mean, the last time I played, I think was Legion or something. No, it was Shadowlands. Is that what it's called? It's been so long. But you go in and you click, I want to go on a raid, and you click it, and then it just randomly pairs you with 40 people that you don't know. They're stupid, easy, and boring. And I was like, this game sucks.
Yeah, man, you used to have to find a warlock and befriend him so that he could teleport you to the dungeon to go play with friends. And now you just click a button. I don't know. It's like this age of
Alderman.
Alderman. Right. That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah. Alderman.
All right, let's grab. I'll grab one more here because everyone's like, read more super chats, and I'm like, bro, I'm getting lost in old video games, man. Sorry. Simon Keith says many of us said this was going to take a war to stop the existential threat to the people of our once free republic. Tim and friends, now we get to see if we can navigate and survive a fully mature communist rebellion. I think we're winning. I think we will win. But the night is always darkest before the dawn. Mm-hmm. And so we can see these terror attacks are the recoiling temper tantrum of violent psychopaths who can't accept that they've lost. And we have the weight of government behind us to stop these criminals, as we should, and these terrorists, and we are going to restore peace to the republic. That being said, smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. The uncensored portion of the show is coming up at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. You don't want to miss it. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Marty, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, everybody go to martyforcongress.com. And by the way, you can find out everything I believe in, and you can also contribute to me there. Now, the reason that contributing is good for your soul, but it also shows the Republican Party that I have people out there in the real world who support me. So martyforcongress.com, and I want to get to Congress and start doing the right thing.
Is it the word Marty for F-O-R?
F-O-R, yes, thank you.
Marty for Congress.
I should have bought both URLs.
Ooh, but it's not too late.
Domains, I should have done it. Yes, you're right.
Get it tonight.
Okay, we're going to, somebody probably just bought it.
Right, let me see.
Doggone it.
I'm going to go put on Destiny 1 after this.
The music's good, I can tell you that.
No more Peter Dinklage, though. It's Nolan North, right?
I got all the Peter Dinklage.
Ooh.
Guys, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. And what you should do is check out Pop Culture Crisis. We are live Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. You should check us out on YouTube and Rumble. See you there, guys.
I'm Ian Crossland, and thank you guys for coming. Thanks for having me. It's very, very good to be here. Be virtuous. Remember, check out the Catholic virtues. Familiarize yourself with them and memorize what they mean and what they used to mean, because the definitions can, but it all, and then see the sins and just focus on a virtuous life. It'll help a lot in your moment to moment and for the future. All of it. Just be virtuous. Thank you.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can check us out on YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, or Deezer. Don't forget, the left lane is for crime.
We will see you all at rumble.com/TimcastIRL in about a minute. Thanks for hanging out.